Like,
Number
do
two.
this.
Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 9. Number 9. It's morning. It's slightly earlier in the morning.
Welcome to a slightly earlier episode of the show. It's not that.
What's in a sleep?
What's in a I nearly slept in this morning. A slightly earlier episode of the show. It's not that. Okay.
What's in a sleep? Good, you can hear us.
What's in a I nearly.
I'm also now very confused as to what gain actually does, because it's still from the last time we used it, like at full bottom, and it sounds exactly the same to me as it does when I normally have it turned up.
I don't know. I notice a difference, but that's just me. My ears are just tweaked. Apparently, I'm not following them with.
But you can hear us, so
That's what matters. Just give me 2 seconds, because last week we discovered.
welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, where we do preamble and then Justin cuts it out for the people who listen to it on Spotify.
That's right. When you listen to this on Spotify, you don't get the preamble.
This is part of the joy of what you get when you come to watch us live.
You get me discovering last week that posting the link to Instagram gets people to actually show up. Who would have thunk it?
This is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
You're gonna probably hear me.
What's this? What's this?
Okay, that's good.
What's this?
Good.
What's this?
Set up my timer. Timer set up. Load up the stories so that they're immediately ready, so I don't look like a fool.
My eyes feel tired this morning.
Okay. Let's do a big stretch. Ooh, you know what? Get some water.
We gotta do our yoga.
We gotta do our big stretches.
I am Bob. I am the incomparable Bob. What is that in the corner?
Okay. We are now ready to start the show.
Is that a hand? A hand and then some writing. Sorry, in Discord, there's something in the corner, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
Go away.
It shows up.
There we go. Okay, let us start the show. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arete Media Pantheon. Please head to aretemedia.org to see plenty of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. That is aretemedia.org. ARETE media.org. And as always, the link to the website is in the description below. On with the show, Jordan?
On with the show.
Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. A slightly an hour earlier Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. I realized last week that sometimes I forget to do the intro. I am your host, as always. I am Justin Spur, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, the incomparable Jordan. How is the incomparable Jordan doing today?
He's incomparable as always, and also slept in and didn't get up as early as he meant to.
He is slightly earlier, as is the norm.
And his hair is messy.
And his hair. Hey, my hair is non-existent. For those of you who are listening on Spotify, my hair is thinning, and the camera is now looking at it. Anyway, on today's show, we find out when Spider-Man 4 is coming out. I saw a picture of what looked like Spider-Man Noir set photos, and it looked like he's gonna wear the costume, but I couldn't find anything to corroborate that, so that's why it's not included in the show. Also, apparently they're making a Prince Charming movie. We're going to talk about the God of War TV show. Andrew Garfield has talked about uh, being Spider-Man and more. And then later in the show, we're going to talk about some family-friendly stuff because we've been talking about an endless parade of misery all month. So it's time to talk about the family, quote unquote, family-friendly stuff. The stuff that they want to convince you. Jordan's doing a winky face because he knows that they want to convince you that this stuff is family-friendly. It's not. It's not. It's upsetting. It's truly upsetting. But we're going to get there. That comes later.
Some of it's family friendly. Some of it is questionable.
Some of it is questionable at best. So let's start, Jordan. Apparently, sorry, reading the story. Apparently, a new Alien vs. Predator movie is going to come eventually. They've announced, but it won't be what fans think. So it's not going to be anything like the original movies. There'll be.
I mean, that's not inherently a bad thing.
I don't think it's an inherently a bad thing. I think that like this version of the Alien Romulus meets Prey. I think that would be inherently different, and I'm not.
Yeah, like, I could. The thing is we're in a modern era for those two franchises. So when you're doing the one that combines them, you kind of have to do a fresh take.
Right?
Like what are you gonna do? A sequel to the Predalien from the 90s, 2000s, early 2000s?
2006 or 7 or something like that.
Like that was at this point like 18 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on, let me do the math.
Something like that. Close
what
to it.
What are we in? 25? Yeah, like 18 years, something like that. I don't actually want to do the math.
I'm too lazy to do the math. And for me, what I'd want out of it's funny, like your instinct with Alien versus Predator is to be like, go big, right? You want as many predators fighting as many aliens as you possibly can. But for me, I think
I don't think we should do that with this one.
No, we already did that. Like strip it down, have it where it's one predator versus one alien, and it's about hunting it. Like it's about see the predator hunt it. Like that'd be fun.
Like I see,
and humans are also there.
I see two versions of it. The version I want and the version that we're more likely to get. The version that we're more likely to get is something like they go to the humans go to this like random planet, and both the predators are there already hunting the aliens, and we have the conflict between the three of them. That's the most likely version of this.
That's what the original version was. That's not what I want.
I didn't say that's what I want. I said that's the most likely version that we're gonna get.
And that's awful.
But what I would like is like something to the effect of like the aliens crash land on a much older Earth, maybe like a samurai period or something, and the predators are like the older predators, like have it be a continuation of Prey, and like the predators have been coming to Earth for a bit, but like they're still not modern day predators.
Yeah.
And then you have the ultimate conflict of the human versus predator versus alien, but in like maybe medieval time, feudal Japan. I don't know, something different.
So with that in mind,
that's what I would want.
They announced that the guy who made Prey, he made a secret Predator movie. Like in this last year, the guy who directed Prey, this last year he has made a secret Predator movie that nobody knows about that is also coming out next year. So he's got two Predator movies coming out. He's got Predator Badlands, which is apparently a sequel to Prey, and then he's got this what he's saying is like an animated thing that is also coming out.
I mean, fuck it, I'm down. He did a fantastic job with Prey.
I'm just like, how do you in this? Just the fact that he managed to get something secret out. It's like, how do you do that in this like?
That's economy? Shocking in this day and age.
Yeah, in this day and age, the fact that you managed to get away with anything is like, all
right. Sweeping it under the rug. Yeah. Right? No. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I'm definitely excited for that. I'm with you. I want it where the predator have him fight. Just drop him in other places. Like have him fight a samurai or a medieval knight or something like that.
Like that's to me that's the kind of next step with this franchise.
Exactly.
Like in his or I should say with his run of it, he really should just lean into the Predator fighting different eras of humanity.
Right.
And then
That
like maybe like the final one that he does have it finally catch up to modern time. But
right.
like I liked Prey because it wasn't just modern humans fighting big bad evil thing.
Right. Right. It was
Like
actually. It was actually.
we've had a lot of those
Right.
over
It
the
was just. It
years.
was different. It was quieter. Yeah. Exactly. I really like that one. So I'm excited for Predator. I'm excited for both of these. So
Like
yeah.
Badlands to me definitely that connotates a certain image, and I'm interested to see
Yeah. We
like
don't.
how far in the future from Prey is it going to be? Is it going to be like 10 years later, 20 years later,
I don't
100
know.
years later?
All I know is Elle Fanning is in it, and it's coming out next year. There's nothing else that I tried to quickly look something up about it to see if there was any other like what it was about or nothing. It doesn't appear to. That,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
no.
well, we will watch that one with great
Yeah,
interest.
we will be watching you with great interest. And they revealed there's a recent report that says that the Spider-Man 4 release date has been revealed, and it will be set for July 24th, 2026, which would put it, and tell
Okay.
me if this, stop me if this sounds familiar, 2 months after Avengers Doomsday. So once again, we're going to get Avengers movie, Spider-Man movie. So Spider-Man movie will clearly be a direct response to that movie, which is slightly annoying. Like it's
It is on the one hand, but on the other hand, I mean, so it could be or I fully believe that with that Avengers Doomsday one, that's where they're gonna bring in Fantastic Four. If they're gonna bring Doom in there, I would be shocked if Fantastic Four doesn't come in there.
I think Fantastic Four
Um,
comes out before.
Either way, my point is that they will for sure be in the one that has Doctor Doom.
You would
Um,
assume.
one would assume in some capacity. And so it could be that they want Spider-Man to come after so that Johnny Storm can already be in the unit. Johnny Storm and the Fantastic Four in general can already be established in the universe, so Spider-Man can interact with them.
Oh no, no, no! That has nothing to. Um, I suspect that has nothing to do with that. No, I don't. I don't think the Fantastic Four will be. It has to do with the fact. Well, I suspect it has to
I don't
do.
think the Fantastic Four as a whole would. I think
No,
maybe Johnny Storm and him will team up.
no. I know that's what you really want, but no, it doesn't sound like they're gonna interact much. They're really, from the sounds of it, pulling back on the Doctor Doom connection to the Fantastic Four, and it's supposedly gonna be like, Spider Man gets tricked by him because he thinks he's Tony Stark, and he's gonna be like, oh, he's not
Uh,
Tony Stark, and then
that's no, I don't like that.
and then and then one of the rumors with Spider Man 4 was that it wasn't gonna take place. It was gonna take place in like a battle world, like New York or whatever, and that was how they were gonna bring back the other two Spider Man. I know it all sounds terrible. Well, to somebody, I'm sure it sounds cool, but to me, it's like we've done this. We did
No,
this. We've
I'm
done
good with.
this. We
I
did
don't want
this.
that.
I don't want
I
a
don't want
Spider-Man
that.
movie that's him reacting to the events of the Avengers movie. I don't want that. Please don't do that. They're gonna do that.
No,
Marvel always
I
learns
would.
the
I
worst
just.
lessons.
I just want it to be a singular adventure, which could maybe have. I mean, okay, I'll throw you a bone. Maybe Daredevil and Johnny Storm team up with Spider Man.
What I'm
Like,
saying.
that's the most that I want. Like
You're
in
not
terms of
getting
interconnectivity.
you're not
But
getting
no,
Johnny
I
Storm.
don't. I don't even want that. I just want it to be a singular Spider Man
Yeah,
story.
that unfortunately
I
can't happen.
I don't want it to cross over with Daredevil.
There's gotta be
I would settle for it to, like with him teaming up with Johnny Storm, but I don't really want that either.
um
I just want it to be a Spider-Man story.
Johnny Storm is not going to happen. You got to pick. First of all, you got two things have to happen. Number one, you have to have a Marvel character. It's contractually obligated, and it has to be one you've already established. So you have to pick at least
Well, yeah,
one.
but by that point, from what you're saying, by that point Johnny Storm is already
No,
set up.
I think the Fantastic Four movie comes out afterwards. I don't think it comes. I'm not 100% sure, but
Again, they will be introduced in the
Yeah, but they're not
in
going
the
to do it.
Doctor Doom movie.
It's got to be a well-established character. It can't be a new one.
Right, but Daredevil isn't well established by all accounts either.
I mean, he's more established. He was in No
No,
Way
he's
Home.
not.
He's had
He
well, he will
he was
at
in
this point.
we can't count those Netflix
You have
ones
to.
because no, you can't because he's a different Daredevil.
No, he's
He's
not
not
though.
the same. He's not the same
But he
Daredevil.
is. They've said that he is.
The actor is the same,
No,
but the character is not the same.
they've said it's the
The
same.
portrayal of what we're seeing, costumes and everything, he looks completely different.
Yeah, no, but Marvel has very much said it's the same. It's all the same. Same Daredevil.
That's poor writing then.
I mean, it's not. There's nothing.
It is.
Everything in that
He's
show.
way more violent in that show.
But everything in that show establishes the fact that it takes place in the MCU. Everything
Yeah,
in
but
that show.
he's not the same. Like it's not no to me no.
Whether or not you want to argue that it's tonally different, that doesn't matter. Like Werewolf by Night is super violent, and that also takes place in the MCU. Or like, yeah, a lot of these stuff.
Yeah,
that's now
but you don't
violent
have you don't have that character interacting with a completely different tonal character of Spider-Man. Like to me, no.
Again, whether or not it's a,
and as for the established Marvel character that would show up, yeah, it would be Kingpin.
yeah, but then if you're gonna do Vincent D'Onofrio again, the most logical character.
You don't need to have Daredevil. You can just
have
Kingpin.
It doesn't matter whether you have to have him. It doesn't matter whether or not you need him.
No, you don't have to have him.
No, I mean legally you have to have him.
No, you don't, because you would have Kingpin.
Yeah, but Kingpin has to be a Marvel hero. So it has to be a hero. That's why it's Iron Man. That's why he teams up with Iron Man. It's because they need to have a Marvel character in there. And Kingpin's not enough.
Then I want a different one.
I mean, all right. Pick one then. But you got to pick one that's well established.
I mean, Johnny Storm.
In the MCU.
Johnny Storm.
You don't get to pick Johnny Storm. I'm trying to be nice here.
Yes, I do.
No, he's not established. You have to pick one of the back rosters. So you get Hulk, you get Ant-Man, you get any of those guys. Shang-Chi, you get
Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man is kind of the most logical to me. I think Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. Another in one of the Ant-Man movies, the character calls him Spider-Man.
I mean, even though like Daredevil is the most logical,
and he's small level enough that I believe he would team up with Spider-Man. And they're both like in that area, and they just work better.
I mean, but Daredevil, Ant-Man, number one, Ant-Man and Spider-Man have never really teamed up before. And number two, Daredevil and Spider-Man team up constantly. They're like the most logical people.
In the comics, sure, but this version of those two together doesn't make sense to me.
What based on what? What do you mean it doesn't make sense?
Based on the fact that this
you're basing it purely on the tone of his Netflix show. Like you're not basing it on the character itself.
Partly, yes, but no, also just partly because this Peter Parker has never really teamed up with anyone other than Iron Man.
He's part of the Avengers. His whole bit is he teams up with people. That's his whole bit.
But he hasn't really.
I mean, he has. He teamed up with the whole Avengers.
He hasn't.
He did teamed a whole up fighting Thanos.
He teamed up with Iron Man, who was working with the Avengers. He was following the orders of Iron Man. He doesn't really one-to-one work with any of the other guys.
Or the time
maybe Doctor Strange.
Right. I mean, but he also technically.
Who was really, by the way that the movies are working, was really just stand-in Iron Man. That's how Peter treated him.
He's technically Daredevil was his lawyer, so technically he has worked with Daredevil before. Like they're doing the whole bit where he shows up as Matt Murdock as his lawyer, and then Daredevil helps him out as like there's a whole episode of the animated series about this that they're clearly setting up. They're not gonna do it. Because clearly Spider-Man 4 is going to be the one with Null, where all the other three Spider-Men come back. So this is an irrelevant conversation. But
part of your Broadway World podcast says, I didn't like Ant-Man at all. Sorry to Paul Rudd. And Andrew Garfield is the better Spider-Man.
I mean, I don't know how to... I sort of felt like after Homecoming, that conversation became redundant. Of who was the better Spider-Man. They're all fine in their own way. They all bring different things to that character.
I like different things about each of them.
Them for different reasons. I mean, in No Way Home, the strongest Spider-Man was probably Andrew Garfield, but that's because he felt he had something to prove. People like Tobey Maguire. People spent 10 years shitting all over his movies and then just decided they were good. So like. He had something he needed to
Um,
prove.
as for Ant-Man, I like his movies for what they are.
Yeah, they're good for what they are. They're not. The thing is, Ant
Um,
Man 3 got too big for its britches. It forgot what it
yeah,
was. It's supposed
yeah.
to be a small, low level palette. It's the same thing as those Spider Man movies. They're supposed to be small, low level palette cleansers between Avengers movies. Like they're not supposed to. You're not as much as I like No Way Home. That's not what those movies are for. Like,
Um, and also realistically, the character that Spider-Man would. Right, but see, it depends on what you're going for. If you're going for he's going into the bigger world again, you have to have him team up with the Marvel character that I would have him team up with is Nick Fury. If you're trying to keep him low to the ground, I can see why you would choose Daredevil. I just don't think he's I don't think he's well established enough. I don't think that you should pair him up with a character that you have to watch the TV shows to get.
yeah, but you
Um,
don't. That's the thing with Daredevil is like a pass again. This is all under the understanding that Marvel does not behave like Marvel. But Daredevil, he's the kind of character where you just need like one or two lines of dialogue to kind of give you the idea of what. I mean, I think him catching the brick in No Way Home, that was enough. I don't think he could just show up in the same like he did in She-Hulk, just show up in the costume. Show up in the costume, have it look like the Netflix one. Boom,
Yeah,
done. They
but to
team
be
up and they
fair,
fight.
that's because you know the character. For someone who doesn't know the character, which you have to remember, these movies are trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator of comic book fan. So for a person who doesn't, he'll just show up in the costume, and the person will be like, "Okay, so who is he?
Yeah, but
What's his deal? I
I
don't get
you're
like
gonna have
who,
to do
why."
like I said that you're gonna have to do like a line or two like explaining. But these late game Marvel stuff, they don't do that. They just assume so like if you're talking what they should do for versus what they would do, they yeah a line or two would accomplish. Daredevil's the kind of character where he doesn't
So
he doesn't need much explanation.
also, the you want to know, and I'm just thinking. I will fully admit that I'm just thinking of this now. But you want to know what Marvel character I would want Spider-Man to team up with? Kamala. Kamala, Miss Marvel.
Yeah. Well, okay. Okay, that's funny. It's funny. I'm surprised you didn't go for the obvious one and say Deadpool. Like that's the
I
obvious one.
mean,
But that's not
I
gonna
don't,
happen.
I don't. At this, yeah, I don't know how to word this. I don't yet consider him part
Yeah,
of
I
the
know.
MCU.
He's still MCU adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Also, part of your Broadway World podcast says, I just like Paul Rudd better in Friends than Ant-Man.
I mean, yeah, that's two entirely I watched Paul Rudd in Halloween, and that was bad. So like anything that's not that, I'm with you. I do enjoy him on Friends. That's
Um,
schmaltzy romantic love interest Paul Rudd.
yeah, yeah. That's earlier in his career, Paul Rudd.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, but
but
it's a redundant conversation because the version I want where he teams up with Daredevil and fights Kingpin and it's low level and he never takes off the mask other than to like have the occasional bit of dialogue with a new like best friend character and no love interest. That's never going to happen. So, um,
um, I just also in terms of this character, uh, if he did, and this is why I wouldn't necessarily want it for the Daredevil one because to me, you can't get to that point where he teams up with him without doing a classic Batman versus Superman where he spends like 30 minutes of the movie like being against him and
oh
them
no, no,
fighting.
that's where you're completely
Um,
wrong.
because no, let me finish. Because he once trusted what he thought was just an amorous, friendly superhero. His name was Mysterio, and if he hasn't learned from that lesson to not just like willfully trust people that he doesn't know, then I think that's poor character development.
Well, not really because I mean you would have to do it. Yes, you're right. There would have to be an air of mistrust, but you could skip them having to fight each other thing simply by having it be evident that he's like literally you just do the storyline from that one episode where Kingpin is framing Spider-Man for doing bad shit, and then Matt Murdock shows up as his lawyer. You already established him as his lawyer in a previous movie, so it would make sense. And then yeah, he gets into like an action sequence, and Daredevil shows up and helps him out. And to be fair, it wouldn't be like when I say Daredevil's there, I think he's there like in like one or two action sequences. Like he's there in the way that like to me he's there in the way that Tony Stark was there in the first one. But like maybe slightly more involved where maybe he gets like one action sequence or maybe two. But that's it. It is otherwise a
Yeah.
Spider-Man versus Kingpin movie.
I mean, yeah,
The important
look,
part is it's Spider-Man versus Kingpin. That's the important bit.
I understand why you would want that because yes, there is absolutely precedent in the comics for them teaming up, yada yada yada. I just don't like that character. Full
It,
stop. I will admit that. I just don't have a strong love for that character. And I really liked what was Kamala Khan,
yeah,
Miss
she's fun.
Marvel. I really like what the actress is doing with that character, and I feel the passion there, and
Yeah.
I really feel the love for that character
Oh,
from
I
her,
mean,
I just I really believe that her and like that Miss Marvel and Spider-Man
that
teaming up
that would be
would
fun.
be just a genuinely fun
But also
story.
Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil, he loves Daredevil. Like absolutely, he knows everything about that
That's why
character. He's so
that's why I
passionate. He's
say
equally as passionate about that character. So
that's why I say for that I will just fully admit I just don't have a strong
like
love for that character.
I want a Spider-Man Daredevil movie because I want that to me is our best shot at what we all want and what is a grounded to the like he they maybe they fight Scorpion and that's it. Like that's it. It's him and his Daredevil. Daredevil helps them do a big punch with the Kingpin at the end of the movie, and that's it. Like
See,
I don't want this
I
what
don't
is
think
what we are gonna get, which is that weird Null movie where Tom Hardy because Tom Hardy's being coy in the PR tour, the promo tour for Venom 3, where he's being like, oh, this is my last time when he's obviously full of shit. Like I really
um
don't want it's three Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom fighting Null movie that we're clearly going to get.
in the version of yours where I would see it as Daredevil and Spider-Man against Kingpin, who he wouldn't have. To me, he wouldn't have Scorpion because Scorpion comes from Jonah, and you would have to set that up first.
Yeah, but it's the
He would have Shocker and Rhino because those are typically the guys that are working for him.
I mean, you're not wrong, but also in terms of like him creating Scorpion, the only reason why I said Scorpion is because Scorpion's already established in the universe, and it's the MCU. They change shit all the time, so
That's true.
I could see it where yeah he's paid for Scorpion to be commissioned or whatever. But you're right, and also they are technically doing Rhino in that awful looking Craven movie, which I will
No,
absolutely watch that.
no. I will not acknowledge that. I've already stated that I'm not going to acknowledge that. That bothers me.
I'm
Anyways, moving on.
moving right along. They announced, Jordan, you're going to be excited to hear this. They're making Vox Machina season 4. They've
I
announced
did
it.
hear that, and the tease at the end of season 3. So without getting into spoilers, season 3 has had some interesting changes
I've heard there's some major
interesting
changes. Yeah,
divergences. Yeah, some divergences from the original story, and with the way that season 3 ends, it looks like they might just be skipping right over a particular character.
hmm, interesting.
But they might not. I don't know. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how it pays off.
You know what they
But
should do? You know what they should do? Just as a big, and don't tell me if this does happen in season 3, because I wait. Do I? Because I really want to get there in an actual Critical Role before I
oh,
watch it.
that's a long journey for you, my friend. You don't
Um,
listen to it frequently enough.
I know. Listen to it every once in a while, but
Like I at one point was listening to it like every day at work, and it took me a while to get through it.
um, can I watch the season 3 without like? Will it does it? Is it that different?
It's quite different. So there. Okay, how do I tactfully do this?
Without describing it.
Um, there's characters who, uh, without going into explicit details, who in the original, obviously you're playing a tabletop game, and when one of your party members or one of the characters, has an accident, you find ways to very rapidly fix certain things that happen, right? Whereas when you're telling a story, there are times where, for the sake of a story, you might want to stretch out or make longer or have different consequences than were originally in place in the original game.
All right then.
And so as a result, that can change things in the story. Like I would say, overarching, they hit the beats. In the in the minutia and the details, there's quite a
It's
bit
a
that's
it's
different.
a 30-hour campaign that they've squeezed into a 2-hour season worth of television.
Into 12 episodes, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
effectively at 20
which is
minutes
where
apiece.
I say, there's so like at the end of the third season of the show, in the actual thing, so there's one big speech that a particular character has in the original, which is, it's a big heavy moment, and it's like, it's one of the in terms of Vox Machina. If you look up Vox Machina clips, it's one of the ones that will show up the most often. They don't do it in the show. Just full
Oh.
stop, flat out. They don't do it in the show. Um. And so, because they don't do that, and because the fallout of that particular speech doesn't happen in the show, that's where I say there's a particular character in the, like, who is in the original for like 8 or 9 episodes, that they might not even do, and if they don't do it, then that, and this is where, like, the timeline of things gets wibbly wobbly, where it's like, if they don't do it, then that it has ripple effects, that when you remove a character from a story and they show up later in the story, like Harry Potter, for example, when you take out Peeves from the first movie, he's not really like much of a character in the first or second movie, but then, like, in the
Yeah.
fifth movie, he has a big scene which is now missing because he's not there in the first movie, right?
Gotcha.
So it's a situation of that, where it's like, it's not necessarily that big of a thing inherent, like not having the speech in the moment isn't necessarily the biggest of things, but it has ripple effects which change the very nature of the reality of Exandria,
You know what?
which then, considering the second campaign and third campaign both take place in that same world, could potentially have ripple effects in those, if the Mighty Nine show, if they choose to have it take place in the same reality as the Vox Machina show, or if they do a Hell's Bells show in particular. I know that one has references from the second and or first and second campaign.
You know what they should do? They should for one episode, for one scene, for one moment, they should bring back Tiberius Stormwind, actually animate him and be like, "I'm Tiberius Stormwind," and then just get instantly murdered.
What's funny is, in the third season, there is a character who I'm pretty sure is supposed to be a reference
That's funny.
to Tiberius, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, the fan, like, the community seems to be pretty
Bring,
sure that
bring
that's
in
who that
bring in
character is supposed to
Orion.
be.
Let him do like one like that. Let him do the one. Let him do the voice one last time. And yeah, bring back.
Um,
That'd be really funny.
because so, and I think you're past this point, so I don't mind saying this. You know how Orion's Tiberius, he was really into
Yeah.
Allura Storm. Um, so there's a character in season 3 who they go and they interact with, and Keela, the Alora's girlfriend or whatever, is basically like, yeah, I thought you'd be more butt hurt with me because you were really into Alora and she chose me.
That's funny. But does he talk like
Which,
Tiberius? I'm Tiberius Stormwind.
no, no, not as such, but like, that feels like it's supposed to be a
Oh,
reference to
that's pretty funny.
Orion.
That's pretty funny. So
Um,
yeah, that's come back for season 4. I'm excited for that.
yeah,
More.
I had heard that, and I'm very, because
I'm
they set up the in the at the end of season 3, they set up the final big bad.
neat.
And I was like, when we did season 1, I was
Wait.
like, are we gonna make it to that character?
Well, because I know what it is. Does it get a different name because of?
They haven't named it yet in the show. We just
It's
see
gonna have a
a
different name
character.
for. I don't want to
I
give it
would, I would,
away. But they
I would
have to give it
imagine.
a different name, right?
I would imagine they, unless that character is under free domain, or they might just license it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like they might just pay to use the name.
Maybe because you get a certain association. If you know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you know
like
what I mean. If you know what I mean.
I wouldn't. On Here's what I'll say. On the one hand, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him if they gave the character a name, like if they called him like the whispered one, or the
Oh yeah,
dark one,
yeah. Give
or
him a
the,
slightly different name.
like, give him a slightly different title where if you know, you will know, but never actually directly call him it.
Yeah,
That, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, because they do a lot of that where, like, for example, Bigby's hand becomes Scanlan's hand,
yeah. That's
right?
true.
Where it's like it's similar enough where you know what it is. You know,
Yeah.
if you know what the spell is, you know what that is. But it's just different enough that they don't get in trouble
For
for it.
for legal reasons, it's Scanlan's
It's
hand now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not dissimilar to, but legally distinct from.
Bigby's hand.
So
So
I wouldn't be shocked if they did that.
so apparently they're still making that God of War TV show. Who has lost a lot of its producers and showrunners, but they're still making it. Which really just leads me to my question of what do you think it's gonna be?
I didn't even know they were making a God of War show. So wait, is it live action?
Presumably, yeah.
Then I imagine,
Dad of War.
yeah, I imagine they'll just skip to like the newer God of War, because that to me just screams HBO Last of Us show.
It really does, yeah. Where it's just long,
Um,
prolonged, like scenes
Long
of them
prolonged
walking.
scenes of him walking or fighting against monsters, or
Cause like,
like,
man, I kind of enjoy God of War 4, but the first like 10 minutes of that game are agonizingly slow. They remind me of Red Dead Redemption 2 and not in a good way. Where it's like 10 minutes of you just carrying a fucking tree.
I enjoyed that game. I never beat the second one.
I've never beaten it.
Um, I beat the first one, and yeah, that to me, yeah, that game in particular, it just, yeah, it screams HBO
Like I
like
could see the first game as like a
show.
movie where like it's like 300 style. At one point, I'm pretty sure that's what it was gonna be. It was gonna be a like 300 style, bloody, like dirty, like gross action movie.
Yeah, like that's not to say that I don't see a world where it's not the original games. It's just
To be fair though,
functionally at that point, like they're much like the games are two completely different
yeah,
kind of games. Those are two completely, so it just really depends on what the showrunner is going for.
yeah,
If you're
exactly.
going for like a more action heavy show, then yeah,
I don't think a TV show
you
is gonna
base
get the
it.
budget for that.
No, I don't either, but like if that's what you're going for, then yeah, you do the originals, and you do like a really action heavy show where it's about him doing the original games.
Yeah,
But just
and
in
to be
terms of
fair,
like what actually gets made and what actually gets turned into
yeah,
one of these
they're
shows.
looking to they're looking to win some Emmys and get a Last of Us. That's what they're looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah, and so at that point,
That's what it's
you
gonna
go for
be, which
you go
is
for the new games where you like maybe have the occasional scene where it's a flashback, where you can have a very cheaply made
yeah.
like reference to the original games.
Like it's funny because the guy who created Kratos hates God of War 4 for all the reasons that we stated. Whereas like it's just this slow trudging, like it tends to be a walking simulator at times, like just kind of
Yeah,
dull. Not I don't care this is probably going to be one of,
like
as Jake puts it, my classic hot takes. I don't actually like the new God of War trilogy. I don't actually like God of War 4. I maintain it's not God of War. It's a Thor game
um
that got slapped with God of War skin and paint, but it's not God of War.
I don't dislike it. I appreciate it for what it is what I'll say.
But I'm right.
Is it God? No, you're not wrong. Um, is what I'll say. Um, but I will also say that in terms of the character, like stripping away the game, stripping away whether or not you like the actual story, and just like looking at the character development, It is the most logical direction for that character.
Yes, I suppose if you stripped away everything that makes a video game and ignored every other element of it, but that one tiny one, you're right. And by that metric, it's fine.
No, I didn't say it's fine. I said it's logical. I said like you have Kratos, and just let me like work through my thoughts here. You have Kratos, who has just killed all the gods and his dad. He's had his bloodthirsty vengeance. What is the most logical thing that a character like that would do? But
put a baby in a woman.
I mean, slink into the darkness and kind of just try to live life.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong.
It is just the most like what. Pretending that this game didn't come out, what would you have done? Have another game where he's still bloodthirsty and violent and killing more gods? It doesn't really work.
No, I mean they tried it a bunch and it never worked.
Because he had his arc.
There's a series of prequels and spin-offs that all suck. So yeah, I get it.
You kind of have to do something different.
I just maintain it's not God of War.
In terms of gameplay design, yeah, okay. No, it's not. It's not God of War as you knew it, but I also just think that it hit a point where it had to change. It had to evolve.
I don't know. It's the original God of War games are way more fun. They're way easier, and they're way more simple in their combat. Like this is just, it's just not God of War. It's not God of War.
It's Dark Souls.
You could call it, again, it was a Thor game that got slapped. They got
it's
slapped
one of the better
a God of War skin.
It's one of the better Dark Souls type games that I've ever played, but it is still essentially Dark Souls.
And then finally, our final story of the day. They're making a Prince Charming movie, and it might be starring Chris Hemsworth.
But why?
I don't know what it is.
But who was asking for this? That's that's like a Prince Andor television show. Why? Who was asking for this?
Prince Charming. See, Prince Charming to me is that's a title, not really a particular. So is it like?
Isn't he the Snow White prince?
Aren't they all technically Prince Charming? Haley, are you still around? Aren't they all technically Prince Charming?
I'm pretty sure. No, the one from Little Mermaid is Prince Eric. The one from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, but in their function, they're all technically Prince Charming.
No, but the only one who is actually called Prince Charming, I'm pretty sure, is the one from Snow White. That's his title.
Was he called Prince Charming? I'm pretty sure he.
I mean, if you want to argue in the original cartoon version, no, I don't think he had a name.
Right? Because I'm pretty sure that technically, when I think of Prince Charming, I think of the Sleeping Beauty version.
When you have ones like when you have shows like the Once Upon a Time, for example, Prince Charming is that character. He is Prince Charming. Prince Charming is him. They don't call all the other. They don't call all the other princes and characters Prince Charming.
Right,
he is Prince Charming.
When I hear Prince Charming, I think of Sleeping Beauty's Prince Charming. I don't think of his name. I don't think like Prince. I'm pretty sure his name is Philip. I don't think like Prince Philip.
Yeah, he's Philip.
I think Prince Charming. So that's where I'm like.
But he's not Prince Charming.
Is it about the Snow White one?
Prince Charming. I would have like lame. You know what? I have a tablet.
That's where
we're just gonna type into Google, who is Prince Charming, and see who pops up.
Oh no! Sorry. I misspoke. This article says Cinderella, Prince Charming from Cinderella, so it's gonna be about that Prince Charming. But I'm kind of demonstrates my point. You thought it was the one from Snow White.
Interesting.
Which comes up?
There's one of the first thing that pops up is people who also ask, is Prince Charming in Cinderella or Snow White?
Yeah, see, I went sleeping. Haley, okay. When I talk to her later, I'm gonna absolutely ask her and Jake.
Okay, so the answer that pops up here is, while many have linked him to classic animated pics like Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, his true origin is Cinderella.
Oh, there you go.
Cinderella's actual love interest is Prince Charming.
So we are technically wrong. We are both wrong. Interesting. Very. So it's gonna be about him. So is it going to be like Snow White from his perspective then? Is that the idea here?
Although when you look up on Wikipedia, it says Prince Charming is a fairy tale stock character.
That's what I'm saying.
Who comes to the rescue of a damsel in distress and must engage in a quest to liberate her from an evil spell.
Like if this is like
This classification suits most heroes of a number of traditional folk tales, including Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel, and Cinderella.
That's what I'm saying. So like if this is just about Prince Charming as an idea, like, you know, like kind of like how Enchanted was about the princess as an idea, and this is like a satire or like a parody, I'm into that. That sounds funny. Where it could be kind of like similar to the Barbie movie, where it's like, what does it mean to be Prince Charming? Like, what does it mean to be the character that is just basically a overblown accessory? Like, that to me kind of sounds interesting.
I mean, at that point, it just kind of sounds like the Barbie movie, but
or Enchanted,
yeah.
But from the male perspective,
I don't know. Is it a show?
No, it's a movie. Very much a movie.
It's a movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Then who's making it? Disney?
Disney.
Okay. Well, here's what I'll say.
Chris Hemsworth is in talks to be in it. That's all it says.
If it's being made by Disney, then it's probably about the Cinderella.
It's gonna be the Cinderella thing. Yeah, for sure.
But
I would do this as a comedy. I think as a comedy would be fun.
Maybe I could see them doing it where it's about the idea, like it's not that version, but it's a character who is a prince, who is Prince Charming, but it's not that Prince Charming. It's not the
Prince Charming, exactly.
And like maybe they would do a Prince Charming comes to the Enchanted. A Prince Charming comes to the real world.
I would watch that. I think that would be fun.
And has to discover, etc., etc. I could maybe see them doing that, but also by that same token, and I love Disney, so it hurts me to say this. No, it won't be that creative. Disney has lost 90% of its creativity in recent years. It will just be about the Cinderella.
I have to do a little bit of right wing rage bait. It's gonna be woke or whatever.
I mean, your words, not mine, but probably.
Gonna be woke or who cares? Anyway, moving on.
I would just say it will probably be extremely unoriginal.
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, probably. Here's hoping. That's the end of the news. That's it. That's the end of the news.
It just turned into Mario.
It did. We
can't. We might get in trouble on YouTube.
That's from Super Mario World. That probably went on for too long, but it's okay. Because we're gonna talk about the sponsor of today's video, and
you brought up Critical Role and got me talking.
That is true. Today's episode, she hasn't sponsored the show in a while, but I figured it seemed only fair. Jordan, let me ask you this question. I'm gonna ask you this question just one time. Jordan, are you looking to go to Mexico anytime soon?
Yearly.
And Jordan, let's say you're looking to travel to Mexico and you need someone who can consistently get you into a Mexican airport from the Canadian one. Who do you trust? Who do you go to, Jordan?
Flight Center by, this has been a while, you're taxing me here. Flight Center by Susan Spur.
You got it. That is it. If you click the link in our description and contact her, she can help you travel anywhere. And it's not just flights. She does hotels, packages. She will do all of the work, as she is for us currently, so you don't have to. She
makes things very easy.
Yeah, she's very easy. She's very easygoing. She's very communicative. She'll communicate you via email to do all the information you need and do all the work for you. So that's
and importantly too, she's attentive to your needs, and she will do everything she can to make sure that you get the trip that you deserve.
Exactly. So that's Flight Center by Susan. You click the link in the description below. Thank you. She doesn't know that she's sponsoring this episode, but thank you for sponsoring this episode, and thank you for safely and comfortably getting us to Mexico.
Thank you.
On with the show, Jordan.
On with Halloween.
Yeah, so with that, it is time for the finale of this year's edition of the first ever inaugural edition of the Spook parentheses of the Moment podcast with
Parentheses E. You got to
E,
put the E.
the parentheses E of the
Jeez.
Moment podcast, where we're going to talk about some family friendly stuff. And I just needed this week to be easy. So John, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't have a ton. But I do have a fun game when we get to my half scene that we're going to play.
See, what's funny is I didn't think I had a ton, but it turns out that I have like a bunch.
Well,
So that's okay.
that's okay.
I'll make up for your lack of
Okay.
it.
We need to be out of here by noon. So this episode cannot go longer than 2 hours. I know that we've become.
That's okay. A lot of these are unlike you, my rapid fires are actually rapid.
You know what?
So,
one of them is. Two of them one of them will be very rapid fire.
I mean, one of them is just a half an hour special for me. First for me was the first Goosebumps movie.
Yes, I quite like that movie. That movie has quite kind of fun.
Yeah, I like it too. And spoiler alert for later on down the road. I did watch the second one as well, but this one, I find it funny how we're gonna jump to the very end here real quick. I find it funny how at the end when Jack Black as R.L. Stein is a teacher at the school and he passes by the actual R.L. Stein who is
as Mr. Black.
Mr. Black.
He's Mr. Black. That's a funny reference.
I didn't get that the first time I watched this. I actually this time I looked it up and I got that.
Wait, you didn't recognize R.L. Stein?
No.
Oh, that's so
not
funny.
Not the first time we watched this.
That's so funny. My thing with I've done these movies on the podcast before, but as I recall, I think I seem to recall saying that the main character is redundant, and it was clearly in scripting phase meant to be an R.L. Stein movie. Like he was clearly meant to be the main character because there's so much shit that's just underexplained or never explained. Like the actual mechanics of how. So is he magic or is it the typewriter that's magic? Like he has this whole or both. Like he has this whole backstory that just seems to be deeper than they're letting on. That.
It just feels like they wanted to appeal to a younger, like to have the tween audience.
Yeah. Like maybe this was a PG-13 rated script originally.
You needed to have the ghost girl end up with our main character, and like, he's just superfluous.
Right. I had more specific criticisms about it, but I don't remember what they are now.
Like it just felt like they didn't. I don't want to say they didn't feel confident in Jack Black because Jack Black is great, but like they felt maybe they felt that the character was too much of a dick because the character's a dick.
Well, the script wants him to be the main character. Like it wants him to be all of the conflict all surrounds him. All of the drama surrounds him. Like the main character, he has nothing. He participates in no way in that story.
The main character is there only for one reason, and that's so that he can open the book.
Right? That's it.
Because clearly in somewhere in the script writing process, they were like, okay, so we have Jack Black as R.L. Stein. He's gonna have a whole bunch of great stuff. We really like him, and we really want to focus on him. How do we kick this off? He wouldn't open his own books. He knows not to do that. We need to have another character that comes, and his daughter wouldn't because she also knows like very much about the books not to open them. How do we have these books opened?
Also,
we need to have a character in there that does that.
Presumably, that's the thing where it's like
that's really his only purpose in this script is to open those books.
They give R.L. Stein slight school shooter vibes a little bit, where he's like, "This is why I created Slappy." But it's like, yeah, it seems like at one point in that movie there was a scripted scene or there was an idea for a scene where you saw him as a kid, like because the idea that he's like, "Oh, Slappy is me," but R.L. Stein is as a movie character is barely a character in that movie, so that plot line doesn't really kind of work all that well. Also, like presumably someone would have had to have opened those books. The notion that like I think maybe I think the notion that like this is a universe where the books are magic, but also Goosebumps still exists as a franchise is odd.
Yeah,
Like it's
which
like
when we get to the second one, I have some thoughts about that.
yeah, where it's like
Um,
Goosebumps. So someone would have presumably had to open those manuscripts to read them to sell them, right? Or did he retype
un-
every
un-
one of them out?
unless he printed them twice and he has a different version which isn't magical.
Right, right.
Like he goes to it once he writes the magical one, he goes to a normal
And
computer
again,
and
it's
just prints it from there.
and also like why would he move to the one city where the magic typewriter is in is in a glass case that can be used to create more books?
Or unless he moved to that town and then donated it.
Maybe, but the movie implies that he's like done this in a few towns. Like this isn't the first time this has happened.
Um, yeah, see, in my headcanon or version of it, um, we have a scene where we see young R.L. Stein who can't make any friends and he's at a therapist and the therapist gives him the slappy dog to try and or slappy doll to try and help get past his like emotional blockage or whatever, and then Slappy starts
That's what they
talking
did.
to him.
That's what they did in that that the Disney Plus show. That was the story they did
Yeah,
for that.
that to me that works better.
Yeah, but I mean,
um
I
and
don't
then and then
mind the notion
and
of
then
like
once he creates like once he has the split personality of Slappy, that's when he starts writing all the other stories.
well, I yeah, but I mean, I don't mind the device of the magic typewriter being like he has no friends, so he wrote friends. Like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But like, they never explain. They it's never clear as to whether or not again it's the typewriter that's magic or whether or not he's magic. He's just like there's just so many lines of like no, that's just not how it works. Well, then how does it work? You can't be like that's
Yeah,
not how it works and then not explain how it works. Like
yeah.
yeah,
but
the rules of this universe are confusing, and yeah, they become even
but
more confusing in the second one.
but to move, because this is a rapid fire to move things along. Overall, I like this movie and I
I
think
like
it's
it too.
fun. I have a few nitpicks here and there, but overall, I enjoy it. It's got enough fun references to the books in it that I'm like, that's the thing that I know
It's
from
a
that one
thing I
thing.
know. I maintain that the
Um,
television show Slappy is still creepier.
that's fair, but that's Goosebumps. That's my first rapid fire.
My first rapid fire is the Sing on Netflix. They put out a Halloween special. It's like a 10-minute special. It's called Sing Thriller. And I guess based upon the credits, it's meant to be an adaptation of the Thriller music video. But do you like Thriller?
I do enjoy the song Thriller.
Do you enjoy hearing it repeatedly?
I mean, it's played every Halloween,
Then
so
you'll probably like the
I
special.
feel I feel like contractually I'm obligated to say yes.
It begins at the theater, which this is after the second one, so it's got all the characters from the second one, and then there's still a thriving theater. They're putting on a Halloween production, uh, and they perform a real long extended musical number featuring Thriller, and then they wind up at for reasons that I can't remember the exact reasons, but they wind up at a haunted house which has this like weird goo that turns everyone into zombies, and then they all start doing the Thriller again, but this time now they do literally the exact dance from the music video, and it's kind of funny because if you see it side by side, it really is impressive, like how like from like facial expressions that they make the characters do to like the actual choreography. Like, yeah, it looks just like the music video. Like this is
So
fun. I'm enjoying this.
here's here's a question for you. Do you think they could have made it into a third movie?
Oh, I mean, nah, but it's fine for what it is, which is a short. It's got all of the cast back.
That's
Um,
impressive.
yeah, it's really fun. The music, the I like the orchestration of the song. Sounds good. It's real quick, 10 minutes, and it's on Netflix. Totally recommend. Next,
So in a
ooh,
faraway land that perhaps you've seen, in a place that maybe you've seen in your dreams, was The Nightmare Before Christmas, because it's Halloween and I had to do
you
it.
gotta watch the
Um,
Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a rule.
um,
Jordan, it's a
this
rule.
one,
Jordan, I'm saying it
this
right
one,
now. I'm gonna end up watching it because it's a rule. Every Halloween, you have to watch Nightmare Before Christmas.
So okay, here's the thing, Justin.
Leave a comment if you agree.
I'll do it. I'll do it every Halloween. You have to do it every Christmas.
Okay, then. That seems fair.
Um,
That way it gets watched
um,
twice a year. That makes sense.
that way neither holiday feels like it's getting the shaft.
Right, right.
Because, and this is an argument that could be made. It's not a Halloween movie.
Well, I've got friends who would be like, no, it's a Halloween
but
movie. Christmas has enough. Fuck Christmas.
no, okay. So here's the thing. Well, here's my, one of my classic hot takes. It's not a Halloween movie, but it's not a Christmas movie. It's a holiday movie.
Oh, drop
It's
the
about
mic.
it's about the concept of holidays in general.
I mean, I could see. I don't necessarily feel that way about the movie. I could see that argument for the game, the sequel. By the way, in case you didn't know, I like bringing this up because people don't know this. Did you know that there's a sequel? Jordan, you're going to play the part of the audience for me. Jordan,
Yes, Justin?
did you know that there's a sequel to The Nightmare Before Christmas?
What? There's a sequel? Where can I get such sequel?
Why? You've messed up the rhythm. Why, yes, Jordan. There is a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a video game on the PS2 called Nightmare Before Christmas 2: Oogie Boogie's Revenge.
And what do you do in the sequel?
Well, in it, Oogie comes back. He wants revenge, and it's pretty much a Devil May Cry clone, and it's got weird, like, the DDR style QuickTime events and it's got original songs, and a lot of the voice cast comes back, except for the original voice actor, but he's played by Danny Elfman, and there's new songs, like Professor Frink gets a song, which I will include here when you eventually watch this later in a YouTube video.
That sounds amazing. Give me more. Make an HD re-release so that we can play it on the PlayStation 5.
Put it in the PlayStation store, please. Do it. It's a good game. It's surprisingly really fun. And
yeah. I'm now going to be the voice of me. I actually genuinely really like that game, even though I never managed to beat the final
Do
song.
you want like 3 reprise? Do you like Jordan? Do you like the Oogie Boogie song?
Of course I do.
Jordan, do you want like 3 reprises of the Oogie Boogie song?
Of course I do.
Then Jordan, by gosh, you're gonna get 3 reprises of the Oogie Boogie song.
I mean, like every song in the game is a reprise of one of the classic songs from the movie that you enjoy, but
Right.
Slightly different,
Right.
except for the one song which is original, which is the said aforementioned Dr. Finkelstein
And
song.
it's done by Danny Elfman. Like, he came back and he did the music. He also is the voice of Jack Skellington in that game. Ken Page is back. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, again, most of the voice
they're
cast.
all back.
Catherine O'Hara, she sings a new version of Sally's song. Like, and it's during boss fights. Again, it's a really fun game. It's genuinely really good. And yes, they should absolutely, joking aside, do a re-release. There we go. We talked about night. We did it. We fought. Okay, this is gonna be the title of what is probably gonna be like a 4-minute long YouTube video. We did it. We talked about Nightmare Before Christmas.
Part of your Broadway world says, I like that song, but not 3 times. To be fair, it's spread out amongst
and
like a 20-hour game.
You know,
like
you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play a snippet of it.
Oh, you're gonna get us copyright struck
I'm
so hard.
I'm absolutely gonna get us copyright struck. But I'm gonna do if
do the final one.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm only gonna do a bit of it.
Enough to get us copyright struck.
And welcome back to this U.S. Open
Hard.
Office Plan.
Miller just lobbed a message
just a little bit,
Jones.
just for Haley,
Dance.
Hey, you don't know. Maybe she already knows about this game. Also, there was a prequel game which was for the Game Boy, I believe, or Game Boy Advance, where you find out how Oogie Boogie comes to Halloween Town. Well. What have we here? Halloween Town is mine.
That's it. That's all you get. That's it. But you can go look that up for yourself. It's called the Filthy Finale. It's honestly
On
very
it's
hard.
I believe it's on Spotify. I think all the songs from
Are
that
they
game
actually
are
on Spotify?
I,
No shit.
I'm pretty sure they are. Now I'm not confident, and I feel
Yes,
like I need to double
Disney
check that.
and I think
But
it's Buena Vista Games. HD re-release of both those games. We desperately wanted and need it. Jordan, is that it? Is that it for Nightmare
I mean,
Before Christmas?
I haven't even really talked about the movie. That's the funny thing. Real quick, I love the movie.
Good.
It's
It's
a lot of
creepy. It's
fun.
gross.
As I was watching the movie the other day, I watched it while I was doing my Minecraft Monday. So if you go back and watch that Minecraft Monday, you will hear my terrible singing of literally like all the songs throughout the movie. Um, Haley, part of your Broadway world says, "Oh, that's terrible."
It's
Uh,
amazing. It's amazing.
it's amazing, and
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really good, and
uh,
the quality was probably really bad.
oh, the quality was absolutely bad, but that doesn't speak to the game itself.
Game is good.
Um,
It's a fun game.
but I always found the Nightmare Before Christmas fascinating because like there's the other holiday doors, which I want to see what's behind the other holiday doors because it takes you to the town, not the real world, but the town that holiday is about. So what does the 4th of July town
Jordan,
look like?
Jordan, what this? I'll tell you what it looks like. It's a backyard. Okay, it's a backyard. It's a July afternoon. It's a mom, it's a family, and it's a dad just wearing an apron.
I, I, I don't think that's true because there has to be the holiday leader,
The holiday, Jordan.
which would probably be Uncle Sam.
I mean, either Uncle Sam or it's a dad grilling a burger on a July
It would
4th
be
afternoon.
Uncle Sam because that fits into the idea of it.
Or it's a man grilling a hot dog on a Friday afternoon.
No, you're really obsessed with that. We're gonna move past this. I like the Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's one that I have watched dozens of times, and will probably watch dozens more times.
It's a father and his son throwing a football between themselves on a 4th
So,
of
what's your
July
next
afternoon.
rapid fire, Justin?
That's what 4th of July town is, Jordan. It's people celebrating 4th of July.
What's your next rapid fire?
Jordan, it's important that you know.
How many more do you have?
I don't know, 3 or 4. Jordan,
Okay.
it's important that you know I'm not wrong. My next one is a holiday made for TV movie. What was interesting was when I Googled it, it said it was an hour and a half, but it's only an hour and 10 minutes. It's a movie called The Halloween Tree by Ray.
I remember that one.
By Ray Bradbury. It's based on a book written by him from 1972, but he really felt passionate about this because he wrote it and he directed it and he narrates it. And it has the voices of Leonard Nimoy, which I had no idea it was
Really?
Leonard. Yeah, he's the
vampire guy.
The vampire guy, yeah, the Grim Reaper dude or whatever, the guy who wants to steal Pip's soul or whatever. Yeah, that's Leonard Nimoy. And there's points where he slips into Xehanort, but for the most part, it does not sound like him. I was really impressed. I was like, wow, that's
Fascinating.
Yeah, I would have. And it's basically just a vehicle by which to teach kids about Halloween. That's all it is.
Halloween in the different parts of the world, because isn't there a part where they go to maybe I'm thinking of a different one of these Halloween movies where they go to Mexico and they talk about the Day of the Dead?
Yeah, they talk about the Day of the Dead, and like that's why I was like, oh, Sam Hain, because we talked about last week. We talked about Samhain and all that, and the festival that became Halloween. And I thought that Halloween had made those movies up. Turns out, I learned from this movie that no, that's just a well-known Celtic festival that exists. That is basically what would become Halloween. But yeah, they're all the part of it though that I thought was funny was how. And hey, look, this book came out in the 1970s. Maybe medicine was different, but Jordan, would you say an appendectomy is a pretty routine procedure, right?
Where they take out your appendix?
Yeah.
Usually it is, although I know a story of a person who had bad times with that.
Yeah, like it can be a bad thing, but for the most part, it's a pretty routine procedure. Like you're not gonna die during it.
8 times out of 10, I would say it's routine.
And so part of this is they think he's getting an appendectomy, and they think he's gonna. He's dying. It's the movie. I guess makes it look like he is dying because they're constantly like chasing after his spirit, who is trying to prevent his spirit, his soul, from going to this Leonard Nimoy character.
Okay. So here's what I remember about the movie.
Yeah.
I remember there's a kid, and he has the pumpkin that the Leonard Nimoy character wants, which is from his tree, and then the movie is them chasing him.
Pretty much,
and that's literally all I remember about it.
Pretty much, and they take him. He takes them to different spots around the world where they effectively learn about, because they're each dressed as a different thing. One of them's dressed like a witch. One of them's dressed like a hunchback. One of them's dressed like a skeleton. And I can't.
Isn't one of them a devil? Or is that no? I think that's the one. That's a different one.
That's a different one.
I think that's a different one.
And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. He takes them around the world. You learn about Halloween. I actually learned some stuff. It's surprisingly well animated, and it's a really cute movie. If you're looking for a nice, fun, cute Halloween movie, it's really cute, really fun.
It's one that I remember enjoying as a kid.
It was slightly frightening. That's the thing with a lot of these ones I'm going to be talking about, is they are slightly frightening. And also, I guess we'll ask the question, Jordan. Have your movies thus far, and will your future movies? We'll ask the question: did they take place during Halloween? Did we meet the criteria?
Goosebumps 1 didn't. Nightmare Before Christmas technically does in the beginning, and then doesn't in the second half.
Mine all do. Mine all take place during Halloween.
And I don't think the one that I'm about to talk about does.
Wait, the first Goosebumps doesn't end up taking place during Halloween?
I don't think so.
I thought
remember it.
I thought part of the plot of that movie was it was during Halloween.
That's the second one.
I know the second one is. I thought the first one did too. I guess I'm wrong.
I mean, maybe it does, and I'm wrong, but I don't.
You don't recall. Moving
No.
right along. That's the Halloween tree. It's very fun. It's a fun, cute movie.
So my next one is Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet Frankenstein.
That one's good too.
I love Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like, I grew up with them. They hold a very special place in my heart.
They're a fun concept as a child, a weird concept as an adult.
Drove my parents crazy listening to their tapes in various car rides.
Look, some of the songs are good. I forgot. It's funny. We were talking about when I saw you watching it, we talked about how I said, the best music's in the second one. I said that completely forgetting about Monster in Your Room. That song's really good.
Here's what I'll say: the Chipmunks, they like right from the early days of them, they always had good singers first and chipmunk voice second.
Not so much with like original chipmunks, but definitely like the 80s chipmunks and
80s and 90s, yeah.
This is the son. This Ross, the son, Ross
Bagdarian the second Junior.
He seems and I cannot confirm this. I have no way to confirm this, but it seems as though his desire is to make good music first and make them sound like chipmunks second.
Yeah, because like if you take a lot of these songs from this movie, or I didn't get to watch the Wolfman one, or even the movie, the Adventure.
Yeah, if you take them and
if you take them and you like slow them down again and make them into songs, they're good songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like some of them are just legit, just good songs.
Which they then just add the chipmunk effect to.
So
it's just So
that might be one semitone.
This movie is it's just fun. And that's something that I kind of really enjoyed about this week's challenge, Justin, was these movies were just fun.
The chipmunks they get reduced to you just speed up the tape or whatever, and that's, to be fair, that's what they were. He would just bend the tape, the record.
He would bend the record.
There's quite a bit more. As I got older, I appreciated the technical, like what had to go into them technically.
Yeah, well, especially back in the day before when it was still harder, and that's why they had to talk like this, because you had to separate the words more so that it didn't just get all squished together when you talk. And They
Yeah.
had to think about
It
stuff
was
like
really
that.
good.
So there's definitely a level of thought that goes into it.
Like there was a good behind the scenes clip of them doing the new movies where you have to monk for the chip, where you have to enunciate every single syllable. Yeah, that make it work. But that one in particular is really good.
Generally, I they're fun, and when I need a smile, I can always just go back and watch one of those movies, and
It's one of those ones like you just go, "Is anybody from out of town?"
But that's Alvin. And I mean, one thing that I found funny was when I was watching it, and you're like, technically he's not Frankenstein because, or that he's not Frankenstein's monster because that's not Frankenstein. And then like literally a couple minutes later,
No,
after you
he's
left
actually
the room,
Frankenstein.
yeah. The doctor.
We were very wrong.
He actually says how he's the real Frankenstein. We were very wrong.
We were so very wrong.
But it's also very funny to me how like in these movies, like in this one in particular, they don't try to pretend like the chipmunks aren't famous.
Yeah.
So like in this one, like they're doing a show at an amusement park, and like people know them.
I mean,
and
they're doing
a
a theme park appearance. We would like they're not like super famous. You know what I mean? Like if they're doing a theme park appearance.
Considering they're chipmunks,
Although
they're pretty famous.
The movie implies it's a residency. Like they're doing more than one show.
Yeah, like it implies that it's a continuous gig.
Yeah. That's
and it's in town.
Yeah, and it's in town. Jordan, is that it? Is that it for the chipmunks?
Yeah, that's it.
We're the chipmunks. CHIPMUNK. Alvin.
So what's your
Theodore?
What's your next one?
Boop.
What's your next one?
Boop.
Justin, we don't have time. You have another show you have to get to. What's your next one?
I had to finish it. My next one is actually the Olsen twins. The Olsen twins, for those of you who don't know, were really famous in the 90s. And they did a series of movies and television specials. And this one is called Double Trouble, Toil and What?
So would you say that back in the 90s they were on a very famous TV show?
They were. Double Bubble, Toil and Trouble. There we go. I got it. I got there. Yes, they were. They were on quite a famous TV show. And Jordan, I don't know if you remember this movie, but it's they're twins.
No.
And they've got a great aunt who is really mean and played by the grandma from Malcolm in the Middle.
The racist one.
Yeah, Cloris Leachman. And,
but I assume she's not racist in this one.
Well, it turns out, Jordan, that she seems like a witch, and she is a witch. And it's the kind of kids movie where adults just like stop. The movie just stops, so adults can tell the Olsen twins like 2 to 3 minutes of exposition at a time, and just explains the whole backstory. But so it turns out that the evil great aunt has a twin sister, just like the Olsen twins. And when they were kids, they were twins, and they resented the fact that they were twins, also played by the Olsen twins. They find a magical moonstone that gives them magic powers. And they grow up and get older, and the older twin becomes really mean and treats the other twin like crap. And the other twin, the good twin, wants to run away with this man, and so she traps her in a mirror. And at midnight, after 7 years, for some reason, the spell becomes permanent, and the good twin, grandma, great aunt, will become trapped in the mirror forever.
So is it 7 years because you break a mirror and it's 7 years bad luck? Also part of your Broadway world. Says thank you, and it says Jared, but I'm going to assume she means Jord. Thank you, Jord, for reminding him. You're welcome.
I haven't forgotten.
For the rest of the show, I will be the incomparable Jared.
Incomparable Jared. And yeah, it's really fun. It's
But you didn't answer my question.
What
is it? Are they trapped in? Is it 7 years because when you break a mirror,
I don't
it's 7
know.
years bad luck?
I don't recall them saying that, but now that you say that makes sense. I was gonna say that felt like an arbitrary number, but that does actually make sense. Maybe, yeah, that's probably.
Do you think that's intentional? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was probably intentional. And it's television budget, so they're all kind of not great actors. The funniest stuff in the movie, and I don't have time to pull up anything specific, but is when they have the Olsen, because the Olsen twins have been on a sitcom. They are like 1,000 times more articulate than any of the other.
I thought so.
They're 1,000 times more articulate than any of the other kid actors. So they talk like adults, and they say things like
yeah.
that kids never would. So like at one point,
Yeah.
one of the Olsen twins goes, "To whom do you think you're speaking to?" Who says whom? Like what?
Her, apparently.
And there's another line that really was like that made me laugh. Where it was like, yeah, this is written by an adult for a child, and a child would never talk like this.
That's what I was gonna say. To be fair, you say bad acting. Is it bad acting or is it bad writing? Or
now the Olsen twins are great actors, great actresses, considering they're like 6 or 7 years old by the. But that's pretty much it. It ends exactly the way you think it is. They beat the evil witch lady. They saved the day. There's some exceptionally some funny dialogue that in the later half that was honestly very funny. I think that's it.
Okay. So, real quick, Alvin and the Chipmunks did not take place on Halloween. They were just at a theme park which had a horror land.
Oh yeah, mine took place on Halloween. That's part of the thing.
And
had to save get the rock before midnight on Halloween. That was the
and my next one is not I want to take a moment to very distinctly say here, no, it is not Halloween. It is its own holiday, which takes place on or around Halloween. It is the Day of the Dead. I do not want to culturally be in like untactful here and say that they are just the same holiday. They are not the same holiday and are two very distinctly different holidays. But I felt it was important to have some representation there. I watched Coco.
Oh, that movie's cute.
I really like the movie. It's a cute movie. It's a fun movie. It is an example to me of a good example of representation.
Yeah.
Where we get to have another culture and holiday on display, and it doesn't just feel like, oh, like that's cute. You're doing a different thing. Like, no, I genuinely feel as an outsider looking in anyway. I genuinely feel like it treats the holiday with respect.
Any movie kids thing that can deal with, and a lot of these do that with death in a way that's like, yeah, that's delicate.
Yeah, is impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And just
well
visually,
and just looks good.
Visually, it's apparently part of your Broadway world doesn't like Coco, couldn't follow it at all.
That's such a cute movie.
But I think visually it's cute.
The music's good.
I like the art style. The music is fun and good. And most importantly, it doesn't try to really, I don't know how to word this, westernize the songs.
No.
Like the songs feel appropriate for what it's trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And overall, yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie. It's not spoopy though. It is sad.
And it's not Halloween.
It's not Halloween. Because the Day of the Dead is not supposed to be spooky. My next one. That's it. That's it for Coco.
That's it for Coco.
My next
like
one.
I said, my rapid fires are rapid.
My next one is I've only got two more. So I don't know if that's
I have 2.5 hour special.
So I don't know if that's gonna make you want to cut anything.
No, it doesn't.
So my next one is I keep calling it Ernest Gets Scared Stupid, but I think it's just Ernest Scared Stupid. I'm not sure, but it's Jim Varney. He played a character called Ernest Tutwilder. He was in a series of movies. They all did very well, and a TV show. And in fact, the character originates as he used to do commercials, which kind of explains his he does it. Part of his bit is he weirdly rapidly changes between random characters. So one moment he's like a woman, next moment he's like, yeah, it's very strange. The character's call it out. But this movie is both really funny. Like there are some genuinely funny jokes. One of my favorites being when he's talking to one of the kids. He's like, I never give up. Just ask my like third grade teacher or whatever. And it cuts and it's just him doing lines as a child. And this unenthusiastic teacher being like, he never gives up. It's very funny. But the troll in this movie, man, when I was a kid, it scared the piss out of me. Like it was frightening. I remember like I enjoyed watching this movie because I thought Ernest was a very funny character. It's why I like he's got a Christmas movie that I like much better that I probably will talk about for Christmas. But I remember liking this movie as a kid, thinking it was funny, and dreading when the troll was going to show up, because the troll is one of the most truly upsetting things I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe...
You shared the video with me, and here's what I'll say. He looks like a troll.
Yeah, but like remembering that this is supposed to be a movie for 6 or 7 year olds, we got to admit it is truly upsetting. And
I mean, it's upsetting, but in a way that it's borderline, is what I'll say.
It's borderline, but it's borderline to me. It's borderline too far for a kids movie.
I can see why you'd say that, and putting myself into the mind of I would say it if this movie is for 6 years old, I would say that character is for like 8 or 9 year old.
Yeah, man, it like
is what I'll say.
It popped up. I was like, holy jeez, like even as an adult, I was like, my goodness, yeah. Like there's moments in my life where I go back and I rewatch stuff, and I'm like,
Justin, put it right here.
The troll.
Yeah,
but we're gonna do a hard. When I said it was awful earlier, we already did a hard cut, and they already saw it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. But no, there's moments in my life where I'm like for example, I thought the last one, Double Trouble, whatever, the Olsen twins one, I remember that one being slightly freaky. It wasn't like at all. It was in fact a really gentle movie for the most part. This, like, there's moments in my life where I'm like, was I just a weenie child, or like is something truly scary? And it's like,
I mean, I don't want to say you were just a weenie child, but you got scared by Spider-Man.
There were times where I'm like,
and I was younger than you and was not scared.
There are times where I'm like, nah, dog, this is actually scary. This and the haunted mask from Goosebumps. Duh. That mask is freaky.
You're not wrong.
It is a freaky looking mask. But no, it's like, yeah, and the troll shows up and slowly and like starts killing kids. I mean, it's a kids movie, so they obviously all come back to life by the end. But still, it's really dark, and you're like, man, we say this a lot, but we really have denied children's movies the opportunity to be just truly upsetting.
Oh, children movies nowadays have become bubble wrap.
Yeah, like, and funny because we're gonna talk about that when and I'm gonna be talking about that later today when I eventually talk about Hocus Pocus, because that's an issue with Hocus Pocus. But that's it for Ernest Gets Scared Stupid. I did not enjoy that movie, but not because it was bad, but just because it was like, I just don't. It's not even so much that it's upsetting. It's like, I think in the clip I sent you, it's the drool. Like, it looks like snot. It looks gross and snotty, and it's just like, it's just a gross, unpleasant. And then eventually he has a whole army of other. Yeah, he has an army of other also gross, slimy, snotty fucking trolls that are also upsetting looking.
Here's what I'll say. It might gross and yada yada yada, all that. Yes, maybe, but for a Halloween movie, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and it maybe hardened some children so they weren't weak little sissies.
I mean, that is probably true. Jordan, what's your next one? I got one.
My next one is about Halloween. It's Mickey's House of Villains. It was a special that they did for the House of Mouse.
They need to get House of Mouse on Disney Plus.
Oh, they really do, because watching this
spur of the
special,
moment. But I mean, maybe the argument, I have a feeling it's a licensing thing, but also the argument could be made that technically a lot of those shorts are on Disney Plus, but still.
Right, but the thing is that the framing of the House of Mouse is what makes them more enjoyable.
I don't disagree.
Because they're like, it's the knowledge that, like, all of your favorite characters, whether it be the villains or the heroes, are sitting there watching the cartoons
Yeah.
with you.
They'll
You are
they'll hang
hanging out
out.
with them.
Yeah, they'll hang out outside of work.
And
That's fun.
it's kind of an extension of like your Who Framed Roger Rabbits or your Chip and Dale movie, where it's like they existed, or the 100-year anniversary thing, where it's like you have all these characters interacting with each other, and that's part of the fun and part of the charm. Is like in this one. So for those young star children who don't know what House of Mouse is, House of Mouse is essentially a clip show, where you have the framework of the particular episode, which takes place where it's telling its own story, and then in between it splits up and it puts in cartoons,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
older cartoons,
well, in
newer
that one, Mickey
cartoons,
gets kidnapped,
just
but
Mickey cartoons.
in the show, yeah, Mickey is the MC, and yeah, he introduces the cartoons.
He doesn't get kidnapped in this one.
Doesn't he get
He gets kicked out.
Yeah, same difference. But he gets like tied up and like.
No, he gets kicked out. He literally gets knocked out of the place.
I remember there was a bit where they like all tied him up and they were like torturing him.
No, Justin, it's a Disney thing. They were not torturing him.
Not torturing, you know what I mean? You know, they're doing like the
no. There's the It's Our House Now where they wrap them, like they tie or grab them by the collar or whatever, and they slowly toss them all out. In the one scene, you see all the Disney heroes are in the kitchen. But no, they kick them out of the restaurant and the villains take over, and then Jafar is the MC.
He gets to host all the cartoons now.
And so like in this special, you get a few. It's funny because this one actually, like, it has the one where it's essentially the Sugar Plum Fairy, but with the Goofy or whatever, which isn't really Halloween. Like, it has a few in there for this one, which aren't really Halloween ones.
I mean, to be
but
fair,
like this one,
this was meant to be sold on VHS tape to stupid parents. So
this show and it kind of, as a child, gave me more of an appreciation for some of the older ones.
Oh, for sure.
That I would have never otherwise seen.
No, not with the same level of access anyway.
And so, like, the fact that it's not on Disney Plus is a shame. It's a crying shame.
Get it on Disney Plus, Disney.
Because it would allow an entire new generation of children to enjoy the older stuff.
I'm pretty sure it's a licensing thing.
It's just I don't know. All I know is that this one, the overarching story is basically the villains are like, yeah, it's Halloween and we'd be really bad villains if we didn't have some sort of trick. Yeah. And then they have an entire song where they're like, it's our house, and they take over, and then you get to have a final battle between Mickey Mouse wearing the sorcerer's costume.
It's essentially Fantasmic.
And Jafar.
You like Fantasmic? It's Fantasmic.
And it's fun and it's cute, and it made me remember how much I loved the show.
It's such a good show. It's really fun. I know you can find some of the episodes on YouTube if you look hard enough.
Yeah, but I want the official ones. But that's House of Villains.
It's Our House Now. It's very fun. It's a fun little special.
It's a party.
There's a party here in Agrabah, and we're talking about Casper.
Justin, no.
Party here in Casper.
Justin, we have no time.
Casper, the friendly ghost. So my final rapid fire is a Casper movie. Have we talked about the Casper movie on here before?
I feel like I have as a rapid fire before.
Did we talk about during Ghosts? Maybe we did. God,
not during Ghosts. I feel like it was like sometime in January.
Well, it is a very strange movie. It is so weird. It is one of the most truly bizarre movies I've ever seen in my life because, like, it is so tonally confused.
Oh, absolutely.
There's things in there that like I didn't appreciate.
That's what I said.
Like, it is, yeah. Like the big thing with it is it wants to give Casper an origin story, but
it's a really sad, depressing origin story.
Sad and depressing one. Because, like, people, the thing you don't really understand, people, like, with that movie is, like, up until that point, you didn't know what Casper's origin was. You didn't know.
No, he was just a friendly ghost.
Yeah, there's a Family Guy sketch, I think, where they were like, how did Casper die? Like, nobody really knew how Casper died. Like, that was the whole thing. And so, yeah,
Because you didn't really need to. That wasn't the point.
right? So the fact that they were like, yeah, he died from pneumonia and then didn't want to move on.
He froze
And
to
his
death.
dad, he froze to death, and his dad drove himself slowly insane and he was either sent to the insane asylum or killed himself. It's not really made clear.
I mean, wasn't it something to the effect that Casper didn't want to leave because his dad would be on his own, so he's haunting him, slowly driving him crazy to make a machine to bring him back to life. His dad was essentially William Afton from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Right. Well,
he wanted to put him back together again.
Yeah, his dad slowly went mad trying to build this machine. But then it's so funny because like then you've got the ghostly trio who weren't really characters before this. Like this is the movie where they became like real characters, and it's just confusing because like their existence doesn't mesh with it feels like they need to be there, but they don't. They're, like so, what, they're his uncles, but like. Are they related to the dad?
Are they his uncles? Because later on, in subsequent Casper of these movies, they sort of imply that they're not really his uncle, and they kind of just look after him.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about this because we talked about the game and how in the game there's like 1,000. There's 1,000.
In the game, I think it's supposed to be that they're dressing up as the different ones. But I'm talking about like in the. You remember the one where?
The Spirit Within. It implies that
the big green guy.
Yeah, the one that's supposed to be the prequel to this, but doesn't remotely connect to it at all. That one.
Yeah.
That one implies that they meet, but that one shows them move into a different house, not the mansion. At the end of it, so that one's I think that one's like technically unconnected to this one.
His lore is confusing,
right? And like, the movie also assumes that people find just the inherent existence of ghosts scary, but like if Casper floated up to me and was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" or "Hey man, sup?" and I'd be like, "Not much, man. Sup with you?" Like I don't feel like I'd feel all that threatened by him. The ghostly trio, okay, I'll give you.
Intent is absolutely part of what makes a ghost scary.
Right?
Like if a ghost just appeared to you and is like, "Hey, so I'm just a guy."
I'm looking
That's going to be way less scary than a not seeing anything, like not seeing a ghost show up and things just happening around.
Right,
you.
like there's so many scenes of Casper be like, "Hi, I'm Casper," and people screaming and freaking out and running away. Like, yeah, okay, the ghostly trio. Also, the ghostly the movie's confusing because Casper's like, or the girl asks if Casper can hurt her, and he's like, no. And then she asks if he can hurt him, and she's like, no. But earlier in the movie, they literally turn the priest's head around. Presumably, he walked off screen and died instantly. Like so they can physically touch people.
So maybe the ghostly trio either A, are poltergeists, or B, are breaking the rules of what's supposed to be allowed.
Right. Also, they got Bill Pullman in there, who is. I know it's Bill Pullman, but I was just like they clearly wanted Robin Williams and couldn't get Robin Williams, so they got the guy who looked like Robin Williams because their energy that they're giving is like they want a Robin Williams or they wanted a Robin Williams.
But I mean, who you're gonna call? Someone else.
Someone else. Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in there that I definitely got this time that I definitely didn't. Also, the bit where he puts his hands on his face and he turns into the Crypt Keeper, that scared the piss out of me as a child. Tell me that didn't scare you?
This was. I honestly don't remember. The funny thing about this movie is I don't actually remember watching it as a child. I remember playing the game, but I don't actually remember watching this movie as.
You remember the bit where he puts his face and he turns into the kid?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Part scary, man.
I don't remember watching it as a child. I'm sure I did. But I don't actually remember.
I remember watching it as a kid, and I remember the big marketing push for it because I remember the Pizza Hut toys. Yeah, Pizza Hut had toys at that point, and it was like they had the weird plastic one with stretch.
I had Fatso.
Yeah, I had stretch. You had Fatso, and yeah, I remember. Like the thing that's funny is like we hit certain points with movies where it's like I remember watching this as a child, so I can be like. How would a child react to this weird, tonally confused, upsetting, like weird serious.
Movie.
The bad guy is this woman who just stands there and menacingly smokes a cigarette. Like Eric Idle is calling.
Doesn't she also swear at one
Yeah,
point?
she swears a bunch and she gets killed at the end. And Eric Idle calls her a massive bitch. And it's like, who is this movie for? Like, 'cause I recall as a kid not really enjoying it, and like as an adult, I'm not really enjoying it all that much because it's not really hitting anything for me from like a. It's not.
I don't have a. The problem for me, like with this movie, is I don't have a deep nostalgia for Casper.
No, not really. I remember watching
it's not tickling that part of me.
I'm guessing you don't remember the animated series that was based off of this movie? I vaguely remember watching it. It was made by the. It's funny. It's made by Harvey. It's made by the same people who make like Animaniacs and that.
I have a vague memory of there being a ghost who looks vaguely like Casper, but he has the bowler hat.
Oh my god! Yeah, the bowler hat. No, I think that's from later movies. I'm pretty sure.
No, and there was a girl. There was the girl ghost who was his girlfriend. I remember that being 2D animated.
Interesting. I do recall that because I remember there's one point where he disguises himself as Casper. But I think that might.
Yeah.
Be, now after this is over, I'm gonna Google that because you're probably right. But that also feels like that was in one of the later movies.
I mean, they might have had it in the later movies as a reference to it, but I feel like that's from the cartoon from before the first movie, like the original cartoons.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we're gonna have to Google this when we're done this. Find out. Well, later. Anyway, that's it. That's it for Casper.
Do you have anything else to say about Casper?
No, I don't know.
Did it take place on Halloween?
It did. It does. Yeah, a big part of it takes place on Halloween.
So my last I have two more, but one is very short, and it's going to be the perfect button note on the rapid fires. So before we get to that, we'll do the Tower of Terror, which I know what you're all thinking. Does that take place on Halloween? Yeah, surprisingly, it actually does. The 1997 made-for-TV movie, which
with the Goots.
What's funny is it has it's always weird when you see a movie and you're like, hey, it's that character, that person that I know from a completely different thing.
Yeah, Steve Guttenberg and Kristen Dunst.
Yeah, the dude from Short Circuit. And the girl from Spider-Man. And it's a fun movie. It's actually technically it's the first movie, quote unquote, that was based off a Disney ride.
Really?
This was pre Pirates of the Caribbean.
There wasn't one before this.
No, from what Google and Wikipedia tells me, no. This was the first. Yeah, it's fun. It's cute. It takes place on Halloween, so the background part of it where the people in the elevator and the lightning and all that night is Halloween. And then when they go back to the tower to try and fix everything and all the stuff happens, that's also on All Hallows Eve, because the old lady who is the sister of the little lady, who also, as an aside, the little girl who's in the elevator, the blonde one, is Morgan from Boy Meets World.
Interesting.
Second version. Lindsay Ridgway, I believe the actress's name is. As soon as I saw her, I was like, she looks familiar, and this is going to drive me crazy. This was pretty much 1997. This was like right Boy Meets World. They were right in the middle of it.
Interesting.
Like peak. That's the word I'm looking for. Peak Boy Meets World time. Yeah, it's a fun, cute one. Was remarkably hard to find, to gain access to, because it's only on DVD and it's not on streaming, and not very many people had it available on the internet. So yeah, this was difficult. That's Tower of Terror. And then button note that we're going to end on, because I had to watch this. It's a half an hour thing. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Those are always fun.
Always a good time, always fun. I got a rock.
I got a rock.
He got a bag full of rocks. Linus is waiting for the Great Pumpkin, and the funniest thing to me about the special, which I appreciated this time around, and I thought was funny, is when it gets to the end, and Charlie Brown is saying to Linus, I've done dumb things in the past too, and Linus is like dumb, and he like doubles and triples down on the Great Pumpkin and his belief in it. Very funny, very cute. Also, I appreciate the part in the special where Linus is falling asleep in the pumpkin patch, and you actually get to see Lucy be a good big sister and get up and go outside and retrieve her little brother. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, their parents are negligent. I know this. I know this came out in like what the '70s. We looked it up the other day, the '70s or '60s.
Yeah, 70s, yeah.
And apparently in the '60s, the parents just let their children fall asleep in pumpkin patches and not come home.
Evidently.
Negligent is the word of the day. But it's also just one thing I like about Charlie Brown and Peanuts is how the voices are always different. Like they always have
But it
different
always
kids playing them,
sounds
but they always
right.
sound right. Yeah. Which I appreciate, and that's the Great Pumpkin. It's a classic for a reason. It's one that if you don't watch it around Halloween, what are you doing with your life?
Right.
And I think we can move on to picks now.
I think what I'm gonna do is because I'm sort of running out of time. I'm going to bunch Hocus Pocus 1 and 2 into one, and I'm gonna push it to the end. And if I run out of time, I'm gonna message Haley, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, I'm running out of time. We're right at the end of our show. Did you want to jump on real quick at the end of our show and quickly talk about Hocus Pocus?"
Or you could just talk about it on her show and ask her for the recording for that, and then just upload it like it's part of ours.
I could do that, but no.
Let's just jump into it though.
Yeah, let's start with I'm gonna go first. And I'm gonna do my second have seen and my haven't seen because I can do those reasonably quick. Well, the Treehouse of Horror is gonna take a few minutes because one of my have seens is normally Jordan would go first, but for expediency's sake, I'm gonna go first real quick. For one of my have seens, I watched I watched as many of the Treehouse of Horror episodes of The Simpsons as I could. I got about 20 in because I wanted to get to them to where they started to become bad. Basically, well, I initially was going to do half of them, and then I got 20 in. And if you want to know at what point does The Simpsons get bad, about season 20. So surprisingly later than you're expecting. But the 20th Treehouse of Horror, like these specials get progressively less and less about Halloween as they go on. So the 20th one is this really bad, exceptionally bad parody of Sweeney Todd, where Moe is essentially Sweeney Todd, and he drops Homer into this machine that sucks Homer's blood out, and he mixes it with this beer which he feeds to Marge, which he's trying to use to seduce her, and none of the songs remotely sound like Sondheim or anything recognizable. Most of the singing is done by Marge and Moe, and we're kind of starting to hit the point where Marge can't do Marge anymore, so it sounds bad. Yeah, it's just.
So, what's your favorite?
The early ones.
All right, no, but you have to pick one. What's your favorite? What year?
I think it's the one where he goes back in time.
So we're gonna play. Is that?
We're gonna play a game. I'm gonna make you try to guess. I was gonna make you guess more, but I want you to guess what you think the first 5 Treehouse of Horrors are.
Oh.
Starting with number 1.
Here. How about this? You give me a blurb from them, and I'll tell you which one I think it is.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't have a blurb. They just have the list of what the names are.
I can't do it then. I don't know. It's been too long.
Okay, I'll give you a blurb. Let's see if I can give you a blurb.
I know one of them, Homer goes into a 3D world. I think that's the third one.
Or if you prefer,
One of them is the time travel one, which is maybe the fifth one.
Okay, I'll give you. I will give you. The first or one of this one includes Bad Dream House, Hungry Are Yet the Damned, and The Raven.
3.
No, that
Two?
would be number 1.
Number 1.
The next one, let's do, is a Clown Without Pity, King Homer, or Dial Z for Zombies.
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna guess 3.
That is correct. That was number 3.
Okay.
Oh, this one has 4.
What?
Oh, I guess Wraparounds is the opening for it. The first one, or this one is The Devil and Homer Simpson, Terror at 5.5 Feet, or Bart Simpson's Dracula.
I want to say that's number 2. Because I remember the devil being that's either 2 or 4.
Oh, you got it. It's 4.
4, okay. Because I remember that
4.
one being one of the earlier ones.
Let's look. We'll do one more. Which one do you think contains the Nightmare on Elm Street parody?
6.
Wow, you're good at this. That was 6.
Apparently my memory is better than I thought for these.
Which one of these contains the one where and so as these go on, I kind of was, you obviously become, what are they parroting? Which one do you think contains the one where Homer or Bart and Lisa get sucked into Itchy and Scratchy's world?
Itchy and Scratchy's world. Have I seen that one?
I will also give you a further hint. It also contains Snake's toupee becoming possessed by the ghost of Snake.
Oh. I want to say 7 or 9.
That would be 9. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's solid. So overall, the question is it family friendly? Are these at family? Because a lot of the earlier ones, they are bloody, and they're one of them involves them getting like flipped inside out, and like there's blood spurting everywhere. Like,
well,
I was surprised by how bloody these were.
I in their original intention.
The later ones kind of maybe, but
they're right from the beginning, like the first 3 or whatever. You have Marge come out each time and be like, "Yeah, no, these aren't safe for children. These are not." So in their original iterations, like the Simpsons itself, the argument could be made that it's fairly tame, but those were supposed to be over the top and intense. For the like, and you have to look at this through the eyes of when it came out. So, by today's standard, a lot of it seems fairly tame.
No,
when you have movies like the Terrifier movies.
For what it is, no man, they're still surprisingly brutal considering these are supposed to be an animated show. Even contemporarily, it's still surprisingly brutal.
So we're in agreement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's I don't know that
I don't think that they are safe for children.
I had
maybe certain segments.
Yeah. Maybe, but some of them are like, whoa. I was surprised, but
yeah, I think it depends on which part we're talking about.
You go ahead and talk about your one while I quickly message Haley.
Okay, so my first have seen, I am also combining 2 into 1. I was going to anyway, but I watched the first 2 Halloween Town movies. The Disney, I think they were made for TV movies. And there are technically 4 of them. Maybe one day I'll find another, maybe next Halloween I'll do 3 and 4. But the first 2 are cheesy and fun and harmless. The first one in particular is a little cringy at times, like when the main character Marnie is like, "Mom, I'm 13 years old. I'm old enough to make my own decisions." It makes me cringe. But the I love these, like the Grandma Aggie in these movies very much reminds me of my own grandmother.
Yeah, same,
Um,
same.
and she gives me real, like in the first one when she comes off the bus and she floats down on the umbrella. She gives me real, and I guarantee this is intentional. Gives me real Mary Poppins vibes. Um, the idea that magic in this world is essentially just all you have to do is want something and let yourself have it.
Right.
It just screams like Disney magic.
Also,
Um,
some of the makeup effects in the second movie are kind of upsetting.
a little bit.
Like
Um,
the mom, her
when
like,
she with the
oh,
mask and stuff. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really like, ooh.
Um,
Also, we quote this
the
movie
the second
constantly.
one, yeah. When we get to the second one, so wrapping up the first one, um, the Calabar, the fact that people that anyone in this world, I mean, I know they're like 13-ish years old, but he is so untrustworthy. He is
Right?
just immediately suspicious. And
Immediately suspicious.
when he's wearing the evil mask and stuff, I can still tell that's the same person. Grandma
Right?
Aggie and children's mother. The fact that you can't immediately tell that that's Calabar, that's on you.
Right.
That's on you.
That's entirely on you. But I mean, yeah,
Um,
the see for me, my favorite's always gonna be the second one because of no, no, that
because
guy,
what?
because of the guy with the socks. Gotta match these socks.
Oh, yeah,
Together.
yeah, 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 yeah. Sorry, when you talk low like that, your mic isn't picking it up.
Oh, is it not picking it up?
Um,
You gotta get the socks together and match the look.
oh no,
Oh no.
oh my. Yeah, I've
Oh
seen that actor
my.
in a few other things, and every time I'm like, hey, it's the guy from Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
It's the guy who goes, oh
And
my.
that's a great segue for us to move into Halloween 2, Calabar's Revenge.
Calabar's
Um,
Revenge. Halloween 2.
um,
Calabar's Revenge.
which of the Halloween Town movies is actually my favorite. Um, um, It's you have 15-year-old Marnie who is significantly less cringy.
Yeah.
And Grandma Aggie, who at the last one
Wait,
the
how old
mom
did you
was
say
like,
she
you should.
was?
She's 15. This takes place 2 years later.
Really? I would not
Yeah.
have guessed 15.
In the first one she's 13, and then yeah, this is 2 years later, so she's 15. Um, and the character is, I can't speak for how old the actress was, but um um in this one, at the end of the last one, the mom, because an important thing with Halloween Town, real quick, is it's in a different dimension, so time works all wonky there. The only night that someone can come visit the mortal world from Halloween Town is on Halloween, because that's the one night that the gate is open. Yada yada yada. Now we've said that. At the end of the first one, the mom is like, "Grandma, like you should come live with us, Grandma Aggie." And so in this one, Grandma Aggie has been living there for 2 years, driving the mom up the roof. Um, and then this one happens, and they end up going back to Halloween Town, and Gray Spell is making the monsters into humans, and it's just a really fun and clever way of them being like, yeah, now we can have Halloween Town, but not need to have anyone in the makeup.
Right?
It's great.
But it's also a really cool effect, like the entire town being all
Yeah,
grayed up, and the big pumpkin's now a big square block,
it's
and
a big cinder block.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like, oh, it's kind of good.
And
It's pretty good.
ultimately Calabar got the ultimate revenge, because in the real world, and this is a fun bit of trivia for those who don't know, um, the actress who plays Marnie ended up marrying the actor who plays Calabar's son in this
Oh,
movie.
that's funny. I didn't know that.
So they are, as far as I know anyway, they are still
They are still
still a
together.
couple.
That's cute. That's funny.
And like I've seen a few, she's popped up on my TikToks and stuff. And she's made a few TikToks making jokes about that.
That's so funny.
But yeah, this one's fun. This one's, and it's just, I mean, for Disney, it's got just high enough stakes where it's like they have to uh, uh, the bad guy ends up being Calabar's son, and he wants revenge, and So at midnight, he's going to make in the mortal world, he's going to turn all the mortals into monsters. And there's just high enough stakes where it's like they've got the time limit where they've got to solve anything. And it's just every year there's very few movies where it's like I watch every Halloween. This is one of them.
Right.
That's the first two Halloween movies, Halloween Town movies, rather.
That's it. That's all you got. Did you do both of them as both have scenes, or do you have an additional half scene?
I have an additional half scene.
What is it?
The Book of Life.
Book of Life. Right. Because we are.
And then I have two have not scenes.
Which are
Goosebumps 2 and The Curse of Bridge Hollow.
Cool.
I don't mind cutting the Curse of Bridge Hollow. I don't have that much to say about it.
Perfect. Can we cut the Book of Life too?
No, I want to talk. I want to talk about that very briefly.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do the Book of Life then.
Don't worry, it's not going to be too long.
Okay. I kind of want to try something.
I chose the Book of Life because I wanted. It's very, to me. It's another movie which is not technically a Halloween movie. It is a movie about the Day of the Dead yet again.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pick this one very specifically because of that. Because I also did Coco as a rapid fire. Because to me, it's very interesting because they came out roughly the same time, I believe. And I don't actually know that, and I'm too lazy to look it up. But I feel like they did. I seem to remember them coming out roughly around the same time, and it's just interesting to me to kind of look at them beside each other, where it's about a person who goes to the land of the dead and has to deal with stuff in the and on top of which the bad guy in both, like the ultimate bad guy, is defeated by a bell.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of parallel between the two. I also, in terms of this one, so in it, there's the La Muerte, who is she looks after the land of the remembered, and then there's Xibalba, who looks after the land of the forgotten. And in the land of the forgotten, you eventually, and this is where it's again very similar to Coco, where if you're not remember, and this is where I feel like this must come from the actual holiday itself.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of why I wanted to do these two movies, because it's as a person who obviously doesn't know that much about the Day of the Dead, it's interesting to kind of get to experience it a little bit, where clearly the Day of the Dead is about remembering your family and your lost ones and stuff like that. It's a day of remembrance. And in these movies, once your family or once the people that knew you don't remember you anymore, you slowly fade away. And it does that in both Coco and in this movie. In Coco, it's just you fade away. In this one, they have two distinct lands where when you're remembered, you're in the land of remembered, and it's happy and it's party and it's celebrations all the time. And then there's the land of the forgotten, where you slowly fade away and turn to dust and go, and you no longer exist in any capacity. And so it was very interesting to watch the two and compare the two.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I appreciate in this, because part of the point of it, the framing device, is you have these kids who are in the present day who are learning, like La Muerte is secretly telling them the story of the Book of Life and everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things I appreciated about the movie is that there's a point where the main character makes a bet with Xibalba to come back to life, basically, and that's where he does the has to face his greatest fear and everything. And I appreciate that this wasn't one of those movies where they did like a third act twist where Xibalba's like, I'm not actually gonna keep my word and let you and it's like, no, very much he's a man of his word, and once he passes the trial, all three of the gods and stuff are kind of like, yeah, you're back to life, and the movie resolves, and it's all good and everything.
I really like the animation of the
art style is good too. The
art style is really good. I think it's just severely underrated. It looked like it was gonna be bad, and then you watch it, and you're like, you know what? No, this is actually really good.
Yeah, and part of what I appreciate of the art style is like when it's the framing device people of like the in the museum and stuff like that, they're normal looking,
Yeah.
relatively in the style. And it's like when they're in the story that they look like action figures or
Exactly.
toys or
Little paper puppets.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I appreciate that. It's an artistic choice that I really respect and really like.
Yeah.
Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, and that's all I really have to say about it.
So what
But
I'm gonna do, Jordan, is
underrated is definitely the word that I would
because
use.
I know you're dying to hear what I thought about Hocus Pocus 2. We're gonna really briefly rapid fire style because it doesn't sound like you have a ton to say about Goosebumps 2 anyway.
I have a few complaints, but overall it should be fast.
Yeah. What I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna join the Zoom call with Haley and Jake. I'm gonna end the show. I'm gonna do the end of show wrap up. And if people want to hang out and find out, if Jordan, you want to hang out on the Discord, I'm gonna film with them and we'll just tack it on to the end of this. And if you want to hang out or if you want to leave,
I'd like to do Goosebumps too, and then I'll probably just watch you guys' stream while I do other things.
okay, because then I will I'm gonna keep streaming then on here on the spur of the moment. So if you want to watch me live film and hear my thoughts on Hocus Pocus 2, hang out once I wrap up the show. That will be a little bonus at the end. And Jordan, if you want to hang out, I will let them know you're also here. If you want to join the Zoom, I get you the Zoom link.
So wait, I'm confused. So I wouldn't be part of theirs, but you're gonna talk to me?
Well, I was gonna talk. Yes. Yeah. Well, I was gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I would like to talk about Goosebumps or Hocus Pocus.
Because like yeah, if you're gonna like, I could just sit here and listen to you, and then once you're done talking about Hocus Pocus, I'll dip.
You'll dip. Yeah, that sounds good. We'll do that.
But I'll do Goosebumps 2 first.
Yeah, we'll do Goosebumps 2 real quick.
So Goosebumps 2. Sorry, words.
Being a pointless sequel.
It's funny that it's called Goosebumps 2 because it really doesn't need to be. It's weird. So it doesn't need to be until a very particular part in the movie where it's like, okay, so that's your connection to the first. That's a really loose, tenuous connection, and then Jack Black shows up, and so we'll get to that.
And then disappears.
So this movie, the kids find an unpublished manuscript by R.L. Stein, which is the Haunted Halloween story. Which is that an actual story, a Goosebumps story?
I looked it up. It's not. No.
And they release Slappy from it, but so the movie gives the impression that he's not the same Slappy from the first one.
It's not the same Slappy from the first one.
But I'm gonna let you say your piece, but I need to just work through this. But it is. I think it is because he seems to be aware of what happened in the first one and knows R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
So like he is the first one, but he's not. But he is, but he's not. Which makes it confusing because it's like, okay, so are these characters...
Feels like this is a different script, right? It feels like it's two scripts being mashed into one movie. Yes, that's what it feels like. Yes, absolutely. One where Jack Black was in it way more, and it was cut all the scenes were cut out.
No. See, that's the thing is, it is. I can say that 100% confirmed. I have the Wikipedia open. Originally, the girl... Ghost Girl from the first one and Jack Black were slated to come and be like they were supposed to be in it. Like they were going to be. It was going to be just a straight sequel. But the girl couldn't be in it, and Jack Black, he was in other things.
Busy. He was busy.
And the director the director from the first one was also supposed to come back. But he had scheduling conflicts with Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, and then the second act of this just kind of becomes the first movie again.
Yeah.
But less interesting.
Jack Black and Odea Rush were set to reprise their roles as Stein and Fairchild. Black's role was reduced to an uncredited cameo, and Rush's role was not included. So yeah, they were definitely supposed like. So I don't
But
know. Like, was the
also,
idea supposed to be originally that they moved towns again, or
I
was this going to be
guess.
a prequel where it was like this was one of the towns they lived in before
But
they
like
moved to the one from the second one?
Slappy has magical powers in this one that he didn't have in the first one. Like I say, it's implied that it's a different Slappy. He doesn't have the same memories
But
as he doesn't remember the events of the
you're,
first
you're
one.
right. You're right. It is until they get to the point where R.L. Stein shows up, and then no, he is definitely the same Slappy from the first
No,
one because
again,
he acknowledges R.L. Stein and he knows all
well,
about him and he
yeah,
knows
well, of course he does.
everything.
Of course he does. R.L. Stein wrote the book. That is the thing is that that's the very first book he wrote. So that's the very first. At least that's what they say at the end of the movie. So that's the very first book he wrote as a kid. So that's the very first version of Slappy. That's not the Night of the Living Dummy Slappy. So that version of Slappy doesn't have the same. He doesn't remember the stuff from the first movie. He doesn't.
What I'm saying is that I think that once Slappy is in the book, I think all the Slappies they're in all of the books that he's in. It's all the same Slappy.
Not according to the movie, though.
That's the impression that the movie gives.
No, the implication he gives that he's he got a different power set.
It does.
He's also got a different voice. He's also got a different voice.
No, he doesn't. It's Jack Black's voice.
It's not Jack Black.
It is Jack Black.
Yeah, absolutely not Jack Black. It's Mark.
It is Jack Black.
It's Mark Wingert.
Doesn't sound like him. It sounds a hell of a lot like Jack Black.
I know, because it's the guy who's professionally Jack Black. He's not Jack Black. If you were to look at the Wikipedia, I could tell you right now.
Okay, so he's the guy that's professionally Jack Black.
Not Jack Black.
So had Jack Black been able to come back and do more than his last minute scene,
then maybe it'd be different. But the movie as it exists now,
in the movie
as it exists now, again, the movie implies that it's not a sequel.
They got the guy that you get when you can't get Jack Black, but you want Jack Black. So it is supposed to be Jack Black's one, Justin.
No, but it's not supposed to be the same Slappy. The movie does not.
Yes, it is.
The movie does not imply that it's the same Slappy. It implies that it's a different Slappy. He's from a different book.
I completely disagree.
It's from a completely different book, and
that doesn't matter, and that's ultimately where my complaint with this movie is that because how this works is so confusing. We have no idea how it works. Is it that each book has a different Slappy, and if he opens all because when in the first movie when he opens all the books, which means presumably he opens all the other Slappy books, but you don't have 4 different versions of Slappy running around. You have one version of Slappy running around.
If you want to get real specific,
because they don't articulate how these books work or how this works. For all we know, and this is how I interpret it, once you close the book and Slappy is in the book, he's in all of the books concurrently.
I mean,
he's in all of them. He is all of them.
I mean, yeah.
But so my complaint with this movie is and they label it as a cameo. So Stein's role in this is not a cameo. And it's stupid.
Yeah, no, you can cut him out completely.
It's stupid. You can cut him out. They have one reference to the first one where it's like, yeah, this thing happened in this other town. That was enough.
Right.
He doesn't add anything to this, and he's not a fun enough character or a likable enough character to do a cameo like this.
He shows up and then he disappears and then he shows up at the end again to be like, I'm here to save the day. He's already saved.
Yeah, like you already did it. You didn't really need me. It's dumb, and it made it extremely unlikable.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it as much as I did the first one. But is that it? Is that it for Goosebumps?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's it.
It's a mediocre sequel. So I'm gonna quickly wrap up the show. Let's do the assignment. Actually, we'll do the assignment for next week, which is gonna be. I talked about it, Jordan. The more I thought about it, I want to do pick an actor. I want to talk about Jim Carrey movies. So we're gonna do pick an actor. I'm gonna pick Jim Carrey. I've already given it away. It's going to be Pick an Actor 2. Nice, easy week for both of us. Jordan hasn't decided who he's picking yet.
I have a few ideas.
You can, if you want to, get in touch with Jordan. Where can they find you?
I do Minecraft Monday, Zethgore187, where you may one day hear me singing more songs if I listen to movies that have music I like.
You can find me on TikTok at Justin Spur. You can follow the show. It's the Spur of the Moment P on TikTok. You can email the show if you want to get in contact with us. It's business@gmail.com. And if you want to be on the show, you can fill out. We have a little Google Doc that you can fill out. Stick around. I'm about to load up the Zoom link. Jordan, I think, is going to stick around for a bit to hear me talk about Hocus Pocus 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna actually mute my mic so that you don't have any of this. Like I'm talking to you on Discord, confusing the hell out of you, while there is a completely separate conversation going on that I'm not a part of.
Right. So yeah, Jordan's gonna stick around for a while. I'm gonna keep the stream live while I film with them while I chat with them, and I'm gonna. Sorry, Jordan. That means I'm gonna be filming out
So
here.
for the audience's sake, in this instance, I will be better seen, not heard.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Jordan.
And
If,
then
I will let them know you're
once
there.
once
And
you
then
once you finish with the Hocus Pocus stuff, because I mostly just want to hear you talk about Hocus Pocus 2.
fair enough.
Once you finish that, then I'm gonna sign off.
Yeah, I can send you. I send you the Zoom link if you want to come join the conversation.
No, then I feel like I'm obligated to stay there for the entire thing, and I would like to not.
Fair enough. Hold on. People are
Full
watching me
stop.
on Instagram.
Also, it's been too long since I've watched the Hocus Pocus movies. I don't feel like I would.
Fair enough.
No. I'll just listen.
Why is it not showing my video? Okay. Zoom. Oh, virus is here. Start video. Failed to start video. Oh, dang it. That means Jordan, that means I gotta boot you out. Sorry. I can't do both.
That's okay.
Jordan, you're just gonna have to watch live when it goes live another time. Or you can watch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on ours as well. I will see you later.
I
Bye.
Yeah.
And she loved it, but part of that is I had to explain her the concept of Sweeney Todd in Spanish.
How the hell you did that?
I don't think because I have enough. It's hard enough to describe Sweeney Todd to somebody in English and not sound like a complete crazy person. So that was funny. So I was essentially like, well, he's the barber that kills people, and then they take them and they put them into pies.
That's pretty much it.
Nation. Hey, Justin.
That's the nutshell of Sweeney Todd, basically.
If you've seen Sweeney Todd, you're like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's
If you
the nutshell.
haven't, you're like, why was this made? It makes total sense if you've seen it.
What are you talking about? Sorry.
Sweeney Todd.
No, but what parody of what's parodying Sweeney Todd?
No, nothing. So I was explaining yesterday. I showed my girlfriend the movie Jersey Girl, and she had never heard of Sweeney Todd. So I had to explain Sweeney Todd to her, but in Spanish.
I see the difficulty. Yeah. I see
So
the
yeah,
difficulty.
that was fun. That was fun. Funny, but fun.
If you're talking about the movie, it's like Hot Topic threw up all over a film screen.
It's Tim Burton does Sweeney Todd. You can actually see that image.
Yeah, pretty
saw
much.
You saw what he said yesterday about artificial intelligence?
Who, Tim Burton?
He said
It's not depressing enough.
No, he's like, oh, I feel abuse. And it's like in some cultures, if they take your picture, they're taking your soul. And when I see all these people doing AI with my concepts and I did in other movies, it's like they're ripping my soul apart. I go like, shut the fuck up. You have $200 million to make a puppet. Shut the fuck
And
up.
says the guy that records people on film for a living. Okay,
I mean,
that makes sense.
Like, dude,
Yes.
seriously, go back to your crazy English wife that she has the most crazy eyes ever.
They're not married.
yeah, they're not married anymore.
What I mean.
He's with someone else now.
They just live in houses that are next door to each other but are connected by an underground tunnel. I wish that were a joke.
That sounds a little Puff Daddy material.
Yeah, but it's okay because it's in England. It's in England or France. I can't remember.
It's a mate. All right. Are we ready? Are you recording?
Yeah. I'm about to record. Jesus.
No, so I become virus.
Jesus.
Gets to rescind into his Virus Fox character.
I'm back.
That's quite appropriate.
I know.
Recording in progress.
Hello and welcome
Oh.
to.
I'm being recorded. I didn't consent to this.
Oh,
I feel like it's stealing my soul.
Oh my god.
Tim Burton was right.
I
Tim Burton
consented
was
to
right.
this.
I love that. Tim Burton was right.
I'm feeling paler and gothier and more depressed.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So, hello everybody, and welcome to today's podcast episode. And this is a very special one because it's my birthday.
yeah.
Happy birthday.
We apologize in advance.
Yeah, we're the
Okay.
problem. You got me and Jake. We're the
You
problem.
are.
We're
Yeah.
the problem.
Taylor Swift.
I knew I made a mistake as soon as I invited you and Jake.
You really did. I mean, this one's on you.
You knew what this was.
Because ironically, people are going to see this episode after the first one we recorded.
Yeah.
If there were any doubt that Justin and I were the problem, that was supposed to be like a 15-minute thing.
Mhm.
It's an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a
Yeah.
half long.
Yeah.
I think more than half of that episode is just me and Jake. I felt kind of bad.
I don't know what-
Yeah.
about, but okay. I got totally lost. I don't know what you guys talking about.
It's normal. Just go with it.
Just go with
Let's
it.
go with it. You'll see the episode.
Yeah, that's what Puff Daddy told me, and I still don't have my album.
I actually okay. Just as a real heads up, I ran out because I knew I was supposed to do this. I ran out of time to talk about Hocus Pocus on my show. So this little conversation, at least the start of it, is going to be at the tail end of our episode, right? When I talk a little bit about Hocus Pocus, because we completely ran out of time because I spent too much time talking about Trios of Horror.
So you guys heard we're gonna talk about Hocus Pocus 2.
Wait, I was told we were talking about one as well.
One as well. I meant
Okay.
two as not in two. Oh,
Oh, also
also two as an also.
the Royal too.
The
The
Royal
Royal
2.
2.
Hey,
It's nice because it's Haley's birthday, so everything you say, I'm gonna say yes because it's your birthday.
probably not gonna like what I have to say about Hocus Pocus 2.
Never mind.
The
I'm not gonna
fact
say
that
anything.
the fact that it is number 2.
I
I have
actually
a whole.
didn't totally hate it.
I came prepared. I came prepared for that. For Hocus Pocus 2. But
You're gonna throw your iPhone at it.
I'm gonna write a scathing review.
This is garbage. 1 star.
It's not that bad.
Look, I don't have I don't have a healthy nostalgia, a real strong nostalgia for the first movie. I will say, having watched it, I respect the fuck out of it. I will say that.
Yeah.
Really? You respect the fuck out of it?
Because
that much?
I don't respect it at all.
But not the second one, but the first one, because the opening scene, they kill a kid. They kill a kid. Like any kids movie that's
the
willing to
first
be
one,
like,
yeah, I respect the first one way more than I respect
any movie
the
that's
second one.
like we're willing to kill a kid. Let's kill a kid. I'm like, you know what? Good for it.
See, to me, it seems that I have a bit of a unique perspective as someone who I didn't see Hocus Pocus until my late 20s.
Oh,
I didn't grow up with it. I had never seen it. So I'm watching it as an adult, and I can say it's a cute, good little movie. Like it doesn't try to outscale itself. It knows what it is in the best way possible. And it does what it sets out to do. It entertains, is a nice little heartwarming story at the end without getting too weird. Although I will say, as watching it as an adult the first time, the running gag about him being a virgin and people acknowledging
so
it.
Weird. Like
it's so funny though.
There's that very weird scene where he runs into the guy dressed as a cop. And he's like, yeah, the virgin lit the candle. And he looks at him and he's like, really? I'm like, dude, he's like 15. What's wrong with you? Like, of course he's your town is
I don't know why. I don't know why if they remade it, I just imagine Shane Gillis as the guy dressed as a cop. And after he says that, he just goes, nice.
I gotta tell you guys, I watched it when Haley told me that. I'd never seen it before.
Oh, you've never seen it? Oh,
You've never seen Hocus Pocus?
No. I mean, before you told me about this show, this podcast that we're gonna have, because as you might know, I don't even have idea that existed. I think it's a lot of American culture over there. Like when it was released, the first one.
Oh, 93.
93.
93.
I was going to say early 90s.
93.
Yeah,
1993.
Probably cable wasn't established in 93 in Latin America and less in Europe. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, this was this a theatrical movie? Did it go to theaters?
No, this was a Disney Channel movie, was it not?
Movie.
It
Yeah. Okay, then
was-
then that makes sense.
it
I wasn't
was.
sure if
And
the
then-
original.
And
See,
you know,
that's another impressive thing about it, though, is for just it's essentially a TV movie. Granted, it's a Disney TV movie, but
Yeah.
I mean, for a TV movie in 1993, it holds up surprisingly well.
I respected it for how dark it was. Like I was impressed by its, which will counterpoint my thoughts on the second one. But I thought it was I was surprised by, especially considering it was only Haley's gonna maybe appreciate this, a Kenny Ortega joint. I was not expecting to see his name at the top of this. He did the High School Musical movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which, I mean,
that tracks.
that's why he was great for Hocus Pocus, but then Hocus Pocus 2, okay. I will get into my notes. It's why Hocus Pocus 2 is completely